theyeshiva.net.
People just running the streets. Well, that is Missoula. We know we
Ja, kann er nicht gehen. Where are we holding? I'm going to be at Tzchak, yeah?
We started a little bit.
Thank you. Tazayin Amid Beis. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Tazayin Amid Beis. Amr Rabbi Yitzchak. 7 lines from the top on Tazayin Amid Beis. The Gemarah quoted on Tazayin Amid Aleph the first statement from Rabbi Yitzchak, who explained why we blow shofar on Rosh Hashanah twice, not once. We blow the Tkiyas Miyushav, and then we blow the Tkiyas Mu'umad, first sitting, then standing. What's the purpose of doing it twice? He said to mix up the Satan. Rabbi Yitzchak, the same Rabbi Yitzchak, said another thing on Tazayin Amid Beis, another statement about blowing shofar in the beginning of the year, not to blow shofar at the end of the year. Rabbi Yitzchak said a third thing, that a year in which there is humility in the beginning of the year becomes wealthy at the end of the year. When there's Reishis, Hashanah, Rosh, and Hashanah, in the beginning there's Acher Hashanah. Rabbi Yitzchak said a fourth thing, a person is judged according to his or her deeds at that time, as he learns from Yishmael. Ba'asher hu sham. And now Rabbi Yitzchak says a fifth statement, Amr Rabbi Yitzchak.
So and there's a logic to the order that they bring this down? It's all members from Rabbi Yitzchak. So,
well, the first three,
said it, or this is,
it seems as though the first three, are connected to Rosh Hashanah directly.
usually there's a
The fourth is about the judgment, yeah. And now he continues, weiter about judgment. Amr Rabbi Yitzchak, Gimel dvarim maskirin, shloisha dvarim maskirin of a noise of shaladam. There are three things that when a person does them, they bring to light the focus on this person's transgressions or sins. Eluhain, these are the three things. Kir notui, iyun tefillah, u'moiser din al chaveireh. Kir notui means literally a bent wall. A wall that is not steady, it's not firm. It's bent over. Yeah. In other words, the person who walks in that place, Rashi says, Kir notui va'over tachtav. It's not the wall on its own. It's that he decides to pass under a bent wall. In other words, he places himself in a dangerous situation. Maskir avei noisav. He brings to light his own sins. Why? Sha'omer. Because then Sha'omer, he who has to say things, says, Klum roi zeli osas loy neis. Is this person worthy to actually experience a miracle? So he's scrutinized. He puts himself in a place of danger. In other words, he's asking for a nes, for a miracle. So he's scrutinized. The next is iyun tefillah. What's that iyun tefillah? Rashi says, Soymech al tefillasoi. He relies on his tefillah shetahei nishmas, that his tefillah should be heard. Or the Hagai Sabach says, Soymech al tefillasoi ubatuach. He's confident shetahei nishmas is going to be heard. Umisametz lechavin liboy. He has a special oimetz, a special. He strengthens himself to have kavanah, but not just to have kavanah during davening. He's confident that his tefillah is for sure going to work. There's no question.
Isn't that what he's supposed to do?
Misametz lechavin liboy, yeah.
What is that? You're saying
Yes,
batuach. You can
Yeah.
put nishmas and then.
Not going, if you have a few minutes, please take care of me. Instead of what you're doing.
Yeah. So let's see Tosfos.
Here it says that he davens with a special kavanah. So it's because he had such a great kavanah, it should work.
It's for sure going to work. He pressed the right buttons.
You get the schools.
That sounds like arrogant, maybe.
Yeah, that's the issue here. There's three types. When we say iyun tefillah, there's three types of iyun tefillah. Every morning, we say in the brachas, we say the mission of Peah. Eile dvarim, right? She'en lem shir, so Peah bekurim royan. Then we say Eile dvarim she'adam eichel perisayim ba'olam hazeh, v'akeren kayemes lo'olam haba. You eat the fruits in this world, and the principle remains for the next world. What is it? You have kibud over aim, gemilas chsadim. One of the things is, what's the lashon? Gemilas chsadim mashkamas beis hamidrash in the morning and at night. Achnasas arche b'kerchaylo. Achnasas kal avas hamid. Then you say v'iyun tefillah. Then there's havas shalom ben adam lachavere to bring peace between people. Iyun tefillah. So iyun tefillah is a great thing. Here iyun tefillah, he says, reminds you of your sins. So there's two iyun tefillahs. One iyun tefillah is what the Mishnah is talking about in Masech Tepeh that we say in the morning is to be ma'ayin in your tefillah. In other words, to go into your tefillah fully. To have full mindfulness, full kavanah, iyun. Literally iyun means going, like learning be'iyun. Looking into your tefillah. It shouldn't just be passing and random and fast and not mindful. Here, obviously, it's another iyun tefillah. That iyun tefillah doesn't remind the person since here the iyun tefillah is the person's arrogant feeling that his tefillah is for sure going to work.
Is it sure that he'll have kindness afterwards?
Yeah. Yeah, he thinks it's for, yeah.
I mean, we could believe that because I work, but except when that it's a no. It's like a guy giving tzedakah, a menas.
Right, the Gemarah says, yeah. Yeah. Then the Gemara, another Gemarah that ein adam nitzel. There's three things a person is not nitzel every day from. One of them is iyun tefillah. Over there, iyun tefillah means something else. It's like a euphemism, a lashon saginoher, that a person is not. There's no person who's saved every day from iyun tefillah, meaning the opposite. That when they daven, they have all types of other thoughts. So iyun tefillah over there would be like a euphemism, a lashon saginoher from the opposite of iyun tefillah. So when we have the word iyun tefillah, it can mean three things. So here, it seems like the person warrants to be scrutinized because he thinks my zachiyas themselves will guarantee that the tefillah becomes fulfilled. I don't need anything else. My merits on their own will make sure that this tefillah happens. I don't need anything else. I'll have my kavanas and it's going to happen. There's no question.
You have a different concept now.
Huh? And obviously there's more to it. What?
If you're down with a minion, it says fellas are always answered.
Never did.
Because there's so many different
So is this an individual
Yeah.
down by himself now?
Buddy was the guy who
Because there is this concept that if you're down with a minion, prayers are always accepted.
No, but it's not mitzad my super confidence and ego. It's the koyach harabim. That's something else. Here Rashi says he's boiteyach on himself. Which also compromises the very nature of the davening. It lacks the humility. Umaiser din al chavere. The third thing is he's meiser din al chavere, meaning he basically is the one who decides how his friend should be judged. Rashi says, "K'may yishpot Hashem beini ubeinoch." Hashem should judge between you and me, and if you deserve justice, let him give you justice. Oimrim. So we asked the question: Klum roy hu sheyanish chavere al yada. Is he really worthy that somebody should be punished because he decided that person should be punished? He's the one who decides that his chaver should be punished. So here again, he warrants an extra scrutiny about himself. Three things. That's the opposite. He davens for his friend who nenet chila.
That's why he's getting here also. I'm down that you should get.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, that's not necessarily.
No, here they're just being baidik. Yeah, they're being baidik. What's his matzav? The three things. One is he puts himself in danger. He's overconfident. He's completely confident by davening simply because of his own merits that it has to be fulfilled. And three, he decides that his friend or his colleague or somebody else has to be judged. The Amar, this is what Rabbi Yitzchak said. He quotes the Amar of Avin, Kol ha-moiser din al chaverehu nenesh tchila. Somebody who's moiser din, how do they touch moiser din? It's not in English. How do they say moiser din, Rabbi Litzman? Kol ha-moiser din. He passes judgment. What's in the English? How does he?
Says whoever submits judgment of his fellow.
He submits judgment of his fellow. Okay, to God, I guess. He's like, God, judge this person.
Not after for bad. When Sarah said Yishmat Hashem, it wasn't for bad. It was because where's that left? That's
No, l'chayre sheyeh anish.
Anish.
No, Rashi says, Royu sheyeh anish chavere al yadai. Is he worthy that his friend should be punished?
If that's what happens.
Yeah.
Kind of.
He may be punished first. Submitting to God the judgment on his friend. Shenemar, it says by Avram and Sarah. When Hagar saw that she became pregnant from Avram, the pasuk says, no, on the last. It says that Hagar started to denigrate Sarah. Vatekel gvirta be'ena. Her master became light in her eyes. She denigrated her. Vatoimer Sarai al Avram chamosi alecha. So Sarai tells Avram, chamosi, my injustice is on you, my anger is on you, my wrath is on you. And the pasuk continues, Anoichi nosati shivchasi b'chekecha. I gave you my maidservant, Vateriki Arasa ve'ekel be'ineh. She saw she became pregnant and I became cheap in her eyes. Yishpoit Hashem be'ni u'beinecha. May Hashem judge between you and me. In other words, judge you for what you did. So she was meiser, she submitted judgment on Avram to heaven. Uksiv, and the pasuk says, Vayavai Avram lisped l'Sarah v'lifkais. Avram came to eulogize Sarah and to weep for her. So Rashi says, Vayavai Avram v'gaimer hu kavar Isa. He buried her. In other words, that she passed away before him.
What was it supposed to be? The same year, no?
I guess it should have been the same.
Same year.
She passed away from the king.
No, but why was it still developed that way? She passed away. That's the result, not the why.
But the timeline.
I understand, but the reason for that.
How come he only brings the pusik to the last thing?
The reason he brings a pasuk for the third thing is because the first two things he says, maskirim avaynosav shaladam, which we understand. He allows himself to be scrutinized. You know what I mean? You go and you say, check out this person's books. Let's first check out your books. That we would understand. You're saying check somebody else, let's check you out. But here he's saying, hu nenash tchila. That's already a much more serious situation. She said, Yishpat Hashem beini ubeinecha. The Ran says that really, Sarah didn't even discuss it with Avraham Avinu. She didn't ask Avraham Avinu for his perspective. What was he doing? What was he thinking? She right away said, Yishpat Hashem beini ubeinecha. God should judge you. She right away went to war. Went to war. The Ran says she didn't discuss it with Avraham Avinu. You have to understand before you giving his din to Shamayim and say God should judge this person for the horrible things he did. The Ran says you have to talk to the person, listen to the person's perspective. Rabbi Yitzchak said something else. Yeah, no, both ways. Yeah. There are four things that tear up any verdict on a person. Elu ein tzedakah, giving tzedakah, tzayka, crying, an outcry, a scream, form of davening. Vaita shinui Hashem, a change of name, and shinui maisa, and a transformation in the person's activities. Yeah, shinui maisa, a change of maisa. Rashi says, shinui maisa shav meira asa. He completely changes his deeds. Tzedakah, how do we know? Tzedakah, the ksiv, the pasuk says in Mishlei Perek Yud, tzedakah tatzil memavis. Tzedakah saves from death. It seems like even if there was already a gzar din, there's a verdict, tzedakah could transform everything.
So the Shinei Hashem. No. So, all right, so they're looking for you, but they can't find you because your name just changed. That's the Shinei Maisa.
What's it mean?
Hashem. It's really, you have to be a different person completely. You can't be Shinei Hashem. That's a shot that you're still Al Capone, you know.
Yeah.
Change your name. So.
The Ran says that Shinui Hashem actually is the prerequisite for Shinui Maisa. Why? He says something beautiful. He says what stops most people from changing their deeds is they say, I'm never going to change anyway. I'm the same person. He says Shinui Hashem is, you have to say, I'm not the same person. I have a new name. Doesn't necessarily mean I changed my name. There's a Shinui Hashem externally, and a Shinui Hashem internally. I don't have to be the same person. We have a certain story about ourselves, and that story is forever. The Ram explains this. Shinui Hashem is, I don't have to be the same person. I can change my name. But I'm not a mensch today.
I'm not the guy who cheats, I'm the guy who's honest.
Yeah, I'm the cheater, I'm the loser, I'm the sinner, I'm the this, I'm the that. And we just, the same story, you know, it's a self-fulfilling prophecy.
Shame is not something a person looks at themselves with. It's something that applies to another person. Yeah, it's like Hashem may mean change your actions so that people see it.
Also, yeah, very good. Yeah.
Shame is...
You say shame is how other people perceive you. Yeah. The same person also, yeah. Yeah. The Ritva says literally, it means you change your name, so you're saying, I'm not the same person who sinned, I'm not the same person under the same mazalas, I'm a new person. That's how the Ritva says.
Isn't that what Shmoy means?
Yeah, it's like a new name. On this new name, there was no Gzeira. The Ran says that Shinui Hashem is that there's two perspectives. The Ritva's perspective is, I'm not the same person. So the Gzeira is not on me. I don't have the same mazalas. It's like a new person.
Esoteric.
It's more esoteric, right?
That's my chayil.
The Ritva says that Shinui Hashem is actually a hachana for Shinui Maisa. It's a prerequisite for Shinui Maisa. It's psychological. It's not a mind game. It's a serious idea.
No, I'm saying to motivate him.
Most of us remain stuck in certain patterns because, you know, it's like a husband tells his wife, you know, from today on everything is going to change. Sure. I know you. I know your name. Every name comes with a package. We know this person. We know his nature. We know his disposition. We know his shtick. We know his insecurities. To be able to say, no, I have a new name today. I'm a new person.
Right. Just in case.
Okay, I know how. Huh? What?
He said keep your old passport just in case.
That's right. You should keep your old passport. Even if you're changing your name, keep it. The problem is if you keep your old passport, you didn't really change your name. Shinei Hashem. So sometimes even physically, when you change that name, yeah, it does something. I'm a different. You look at yourself. I'm a different person. Vaitis v'shinui Hashem. It's a beautiful word over there, Ran. It's a beautiful word. Sometimes there's no shinui ma'isa because internally you can't believe that you could be a different person.
People have nicknames, they have short names, and as they grow up and they mature, sometimes they
Yes, they change it.
leave them. They
That's
want to
true.
go by a norm.
Yeah.
This is what it says here, that somebody asks Hashem to judge somebody else.
Yeah.
There are many situations where even if, there is not enough evidence or anything to be able
Right.
to do anything about it, then many times Rashi says, Yesh l'makom shluchim harbe.
Yeah.
Hashem will take care of it. Because even in the human court, you cannot accomplish anything, but you know that it was an injustice.
So that's very nice what you're saying. The Gemara in Baba comments on the Gimel that the negativity of being moiser, somebody's din to heaven, is only if there's somebody who could take care of it. You have a dayan, you have a court, you have a bezdin. If there's nobody who can take care of it, and you're literally a lone victim, yeah, you'd say, God has to take care of this.
But it says here not to do it.
Huh?
It says here you shouldn't do it.
So the Ritva says that by Sarah, the Ran says Sarah should have spoken to Avraham Avinu. The Ritva says there was a bezdin of shame. Should have taken Avraham Avinu to. Huh? It was the best. That's what the Ritva says. In other words, if there's no hope, if there's a way that this, let's say somebody has tinus to somebody, there's a serious issue, yeah. So if there's a way to deal with it, I have to deal with it. There's a bezdin, there's a bezdin. There's a rabbi, there's a rabbi. There's a dayan, there's a dayan. If there's mamish no situation, yeah. So then the Gemara says you could be moiser din il shamayim. You say, listen, I'll let Hashem take care of it. I can't decide what should happen, but let God judge this person.
What is the actual din over here? Isn't this what she asked for?
Huh?
That's what she had asked for.
No, she said yishpet Hashem beini ubeinach.
I'm saying,
Is that
on
before
what part?
the Tanel Sarah?
She was like, God, you should punish him. Yishpet is harsh.
No,
Mishpat.
I
It's not
understand
let him win the
You're
lottery.
saying you should go to Shem.
That's what the Ritva says. What she should say to Shem.
Isn't that what that he listened to me?
No, the cheshbon is for Tanel Sarah. She did something wrong. The Ramban says in Tanel
Hagar.
Sarah.
I mean, Hagar oppressed her.
Choto imenu. No, it's Sarah did wrong.
Oh, you mean Sarah herself?
The Ramban says Choto imenu. The Gam Avram being Nicholas's king. And the Chazal, they don't pull any punches to make it ever what they're talking about. If they, the way they see it. She made a mistake. She says Choto imenu.
The Ramban says that's why Yishmael hates us. Right. Because of how. That's what he says. Yeah.
I wish they did.
Rabbeinu Bechaya says.
What was the mistake?
She had no need, she had no right to oppress her. Oppressing another human being, it's your slave, it's your maidservant, you have complete control of it. You can't do that. You cannot do that. People think it's a mitzvah, but
Abraham
you can't do it.
complained, and Hashem says you should listen to her.
No, that was only to send away.
To
Not
send
to oppress.
away, no,
That's
that
not,
wasn't
that's not
oppression.
oppression. No. To
keep
make
her out?
somebody,
It was
to
time.
make somebody miserable 24/7, that's not, that's wrong. You're not allowed to do it, right?
Yeah. So Shinui Hash. Okay, so now we have tzedakah tatzel mimavos. Agav, stam. It's interesting. The Rambam brings in Shulchan Aruch that the minhag is when there's a chayla, so you sometimes change the name. So the Vilna Gaon brings in Shulchan Aruch that the source is this Gemara. The Shinui Hashem could change everything because there's like a new energy for the person. Generally, a lot of our chiyus comes through the letters of our name. The name is very significant because the chiyus of a neshama comes. Every person has a different name, and the name is important. Arizal says that parents are given a special nevuah ktana, like a ruach hakodesh, before they name a child, because the name is not just coincidental. The name is the channel of energy. So when there's a chayla, so there's a compromise, there's a challenge in that energy. So the Shinui Hashem can change a whole new channel. So the Vilna Gaon brings that the Makar is this Gemara.
What if you have two people with the same name?
The
I'm saying it's Ben. Well, you do.
I
have
guess
it.
the letter, the father's name, the mother. I
But
mean,
you do. You have it. Same father, same. But it's like that. I don't know if you know what I'm saying.
doesn't know it.
The funny thing.
what?
It's interesting. Hashem doesn't know anymore who the person is.
It's not the same social security.
No, it
anymore.
doesn't mean that. It means the person himself puts himself in a new matzah. It's nicht derselbe Mensch. It's put in Rishonim, B'chlal, why does tefillah, what's the point of tefillah? Yeah. It's one of the explanations. Something is supposed to happen. Feinu Hashem v'nei Rafa, Baruch Aleinu Hashanah Hazais. Something is supposed to happen to this person, so what is he davening? He's telling Hashem what? You probably made a mistake, you should reconsider, I know better than you. Recalculate. What's the idea? Like, how's it supposed to help? What is it? Hashem knew the matzav. So what is he davening? He's saying, I don't like your decision, I know better, you're not good. What's the vart? So one of the explanations is, there's different biurim, but one of the biurim that's brought is that tefillah is not meshana Hashem's decision. I become a different person. The decision was on a different person, it wasn't on me. Through davening, I'm a transformed person. Huh?
You mean the chesima on Yom Kippur?
Or Nidan B'chal Yom, whatever, however you learn
Whatever,
it.
yeah.
The Nidan Rabbi says Nidan B'chal Yom. I'm not the same person as a result of davening. I'm a new person. Every davening change, if it's a davening changes a person. I'm not the person anymore. You made a whole decision, a whole plan. You made a whole plan on X, Y, Z. I'm Pliny Ben Pliny. I'm not Pliny Ben Pliny anymore. Same concept. It's brought in Yerushalayim. This is a beautiful word. What tefillah helps? What you want to change God's decision? What he knew the decision. He understood what he's doing. You know better. You don't know better. So there's other biyurim in tefillah, but I'm just saying this is one biyur that nothing to do with shinui ratzon. It's shinui Hashem.
You're going to change your name. Same. That
Okay.
you do.
No, we're not talking about his idea. In other words, it's on his decision. Not. Okay, so tzedakah is tatzal b'mavos. Tzaika, the ksiv vayitzaku el Hashem bartzalam tzukesem yitziyah. Pasuk says in Tehillim, in Haidu Hashem, they screamed to Hashem when they had distress, and He took them out of their mitzukah. Mitzukah means their predicament, their challenge. Shinui Hashem, the ksiv, vayte by Sarah. Hashem tells Avram, Sarai ishtach sikra shma, Sarai ki Sarah shma. We have to change the name Sarai because her real name is Sarah. Uksiv, and the next pasuk says, Berachti Yosef v'gam nasati mimena lecha bein.
So, but that didn't help for the
He didn't change her name after.
What? Didn't
Yeah.
help from the Yishpoit Hashem. That
So
didn't help.
he didn't change her name after.
What do you mean? He did. Change it from Sarah to Sarah. It was after.
Oh, you mean for that Nekuda?
Yeah. It was, that's the Dendelach with Sarah to Sarah.
Yeah.
And that was...
Shinui Maisa, the Ksiv, it says by Ninveh, Vayare Elakim es Maaseyem, ki shavu medarkam hara. Their Maisa were transformed, the Ksiv, and weiter it says, Vayinochem el ha'elikim al hara, asher diber lasis lahem, v'la yasa. He removed the whole plan of what he wanted to do to them, he did not do it. In other words, Shinui Maisa. So Rabbi Yitzchak says there are four things that tear up the verdict: tzedakah, a cry, prayer, changing the name, and changing one's deeds. V'yashomrim, and some say af shinui makom, also changing one location, relocating. Shinui makom, yeah. The ksiv, the pasuk says. "Vayomer Hashem el Avram lech lecha meyartzechem meladchem besav v'chilartz ashareka." And then v'hadar, and then v'eschel agoy gadol. I could make you into a great nation. So it's the lech lecha, it's the physical relocation that will transform your destiny. Before that, Avram couldn't have children, and now v'eschel agoy gadol. V'idach, why didn't Rabbi Yitzchak include this fourth component? He said tzedakah, tzaika, shinui Hashem, shinui Maisa. He should have added number 5, shinui makom. There's a gavaldik pasuk. The answer is hahu schusa d'Eretz Yisrael hu dahanyalei. Because Rabbi Yitzchak could learn. It's not the change of location. It's the schus of Eretz Yisrael that was so effective. He said lech lecha me'artzecha to go to Eretz Yisrael. In Eretz Yisrael, there's a whole different experience. It's not shinui makom, the very fact of relocating yourself from one place into another place.
You should have said, go to Eretz Yisrael. Eretz Yisrael is a different perspective. You want to be Meshani, you go to Eretz Yisrael.
So why doesn't he include that?
Yeah.
Shinui Schus Eretz Yisrael. I don't know that the Gemara says he knows it's Mitzvah Eretz Yisrael. He wasn't sure if it's Mitzvah Shinui Makom or Schus Eretz Yisrael, so he didn't say it. That's the word, right?
It's not saying it's changing his mazel. It's a separate schus.
Yeah, the Schus Eretz Yisrael. Yeah, you're
The
right.
other thing say mam's
You're right.
his mazel.
You're right.
Of course, you change your mazal. If you go to what you
Yeah.
change your source, you change your mazal.
Yeah.
Right?
The other four things is what the
Thematically,
person,
you change your mazal
somebody
because
that-
you can't have children before now you have
Still,
children.
nothing's-
Change your mazal.
The Rambam says in Hilchas Tshuva, Perek Beis, what's called a Tshuva Gemurah, not move to Eretz Yisrael. This is Chus Eretz
That's
Yisrael.
because of really so machkim.
Huh?
You get there, you get smarter, and then you love to do tshuva.
Huh? Lav
When we
dafka.
said Israel now.
Lav dafka.
Who said that? What do you say?
You always said Israel, you say, not that's Israel.
The Rambam says in Hilchas Tshuva and Perek Beis, what's Tshuva Gemurah? What's considered real complete Tshuva? So of course there's regret for the past and there's resolution for the future, but then he says, it has to be in a way that Yoyid Alav Yodeya Talumish Layashav Lazahachet La'olam. The one who knows secrets should be able to testify that he's never ever going to return to this chet. So this is
That has to be that moment.
at that moment, yeah. At that moment,
But that's hard to
it
get
should
to.
be.
That's very hard to get to also.
At that moment, it's so powerful. Yeah, so Pashtus, the Rambam doesn't say that moment. Pashtus, it's like which makes it quite
Has to
difficult.
be that moment.
But you're never ever going to do it again.
Bashem
Huh?
Shalom is that's the tshuva they want.
So your taichin, the Rambam means that at that moment, Hashem should testify that if this, in other words, if the person remains in this moment forever, he's not trying to go back to the chet. It happens to be that in an hour his mood could change. But Yoed Levidei Talumas.
Hashem judges at the moment.
Right, but in other words, the Rambam says Hashem testifies that he's never ever going to go back to this chet. That's a different type of Shinei Ma'aser. So I saw, but not just Sarus L'Satan. Yoed L'Shesh L'Zah. So I saw the Chidush Harim writes, very interesting word, that the Rambam, you have a Masechta Baba Kama, and the Rambam in Hilchis, in these halachas of Gzela, if somebody steals something from his friend, from somebody else, you have to give back what you took. But the pasuk says V'heishav asher gazel. So Chazal learned from this. It's only if you have what you took. Let's say you took it, you sold it, or you took it, or you transformed it completely, and you can't have that mitzias anymore. So that you're koina, that you acquire, shinui koina. You just have to give back the value of it. If you have it available, you have to give it back. I take his watch. I can't say I like the watch. I'm going to give you the value. And I have to give it back. But if I lost it, I sold it, somebody stole it from me, I transform it completely, I can't give it back. I could give it back, but it's not the same thing anymore. Then you're mechuyev to give back the tashlumin, the value of the kashas gzel. On here the Chacham made a takonas hashavin. Lokach koyre v'ichnisa lebinyan. I steal from somebody, I'm building, and I see a beam, and I put it into my binyan. Min ha-Torah, I should take apart my house and give him back the beam. The beam is still there; it's intact. You can give it back to him. It didn't disappear, and you didn't transform it. You have the gzeila shegazel. You have to take down your house and give him the beam. But there's something called takonas hashavim. Takonas hashavim means that to motivate people to do tshuva. If you're looking at your house and you say, "Okay, now I have to destroy my house in order to give back the beam," what do you say? Forget it. Right? I'll deal with this in the next world. I'm not destroying my house. Takonas hashavim. The Chazal said that even though there was no shinui, that's einoi chayzel lebriyasa. If there was a shinui she'einoi chayzel lebriyasa, it means you change it and it can't revert back. Then Torah says that you don't give it back. But the Chazal said people won't do tshuva. So he said even if it's a shinui she'einoi chayzel lebriyasa, a shinui hachayzel lebriyasa, it's a change that you could still retrieve it back. Still, it's fine, and then they takonas hashav. So he said that in Ruchnius, when you do tshuva, there's shinui Hashem and shinui mais. So you have a shinui she'einoi chayzel lebriyasa. You're never going to change again. A complete transformation. That's what the Rambam says. Yoy the love yedei talumas. That's tshuva gemura. you're never going to be the same person again. So then taka, that's the real tshuva. But when takonas hashavim, Chazal understood. When takonas hashavim, those that want to do tshuva, to demand that standard, you're never ever going to do it again. It has to be a shinui that you'll never go back to that person. A lot of people won't even begin. So therefore they say, even if it's chayzel l'briyasai, right? Even if this beam is chayzel l'briyasai, it's still an effective tshuva. That's why the Rambam says, Ezer tshuva gemura, real complete tshuva. The way to establish what tshuva is, it has to be a complete transformation. But takonas hashavim, even if it's less than that, it's still tshuva.
Takonas the coin marriage a grusha, but you can ask him to have a divorce. You can do tshuva even if it stays.
No.
Yes.
But in reality, you should not say.
What is it? That's what he said. Yodea Talumos means that the way he's right now, it's never going to. That's another beer. That's another husband.
If you shall not say that this is the
Well, he built the whole building
why
of children.
we have a keeper every year to give us
Right. Umavir Ashmoiseinu b'chol shana v'shana. You're saying the same averas. Weiter. Zog the Gemarah, weiter. Rabbi Yitzchak said something else. Chayev Adam lahagbil pnei Rabbi beregel. A person is obligated to go see, to go welcome, to go greet his Rebbe on Yom Tov. Yom Tov means the 3 Yomim Tovim, Pesach, Shavuos, Sukkos. Shenema, how do we know this? We have a story in Tanakh, in Melachim Beis, Kings 2, chapter 4. There was a woman known as the Isha Hashunamis, the Shunammite woman. Elisha, the prophet, used to come and stay with her, and she didn't have a child. He blessed her, she gave birth to a child, and the child died. And she decided to go tell Elisha what happened, which she did. So she asked her husband to send her a donkey with one of his servants so she should be able to go to Elisha. She didn't tell him why she's going to Elisha. So her husband says, Madua atayleches elav hayom? Why are you going to Elisha today? Lo chodesh v'lo Shabbos. It's not Rosh Chodesh and it's not Shabbos. Miklal, what do we see from here? The b'chodesh v'Shabbos ibayalei lemezol. If it would have been Rosh Chodesh or Shabbos, it's not a question why she should go. For Shabbos, you go to Elisha. For Rosh Chodesh, you go to the Rebbe. Yeah. Yeah.
Bring a guy for Yom Tov saying Shabbos.
No, that's the Kavachim.
Yeah, but maybe Chayv was Shabbos to bring also. That's why.
Remember, we actually went to the
The Magen Avram brings from here that from here you learn that even a woman is mechuyev in this mitzvah to be mahakol pnei Rabba, because this is a source from Isha Shanamis. It's not even a man. That's what the Magen Avram brings in Shulchan Aruch. But the Marat Chiyus says that since Rashi says he brings that an Isha's potter from mitzvah esei shazman grama, and this is a mitzvah esei shazman grama, so therefore Isha is potter. And that's why he says lo chodesh v'lo Shabbos. He says actually the lo chodesh v'lo Shabbos is because there's a shitter in Rashi. This is what the Marat Chiyus says. There's a shitter in Rashi. We're going to see later that a mitzvah saseh shazman grama that a woman is potter to do. If she does it, she's over in Bal Tosef. That's the shitter of Rashi. Okay, many argue. So he says that mitzvahs hakbalas panim beregel is a mitzvah saseh shazman grama. So the Isha is potter from it. So since she's potter from it, if she does it, she's over on Bal Tosef. But he told her, like Chodesh v'lo Shabbos. Chodesh and Shabbos, she can go see him, because since there's no chiyuv on men, Chodesh and Shabbos, so therefore there's no Bal Tosef. Mashenker Regel, there's a chiyuv on men. That's how the Marat Chiyus explains, first of all, why he brings a raya from Chodesh and Shabbos, and why a woman is not mechuyev to be magbal panah beregel. But l'chayre, at the surface, is a questioner. From here, the Yitzchak should have said you're mechuyev to be makabel pnei Rabbi every Rosh Chodesh and every Shabbos. What's up with Yom Tovim? It's a little strange. Yeah, Rosh Chodesh v'lo Shabbos hayom. It's a little hard to understand. So they bring. I saw in the Gemarah said the Masifta Gemarah brings that l'cha'ira from this pasuk you would say that there's a chiyuv every Rosh Chodesh and every Shabbos. So Rabbeinu Chananel and the Ritva bring that it depends by every Talmud how close he is physically, geographically to his Rebbe. If he's close to his Rebbe, Mamash, he's close to his Rebbe, he's very close, he's mechuyev to go to every day. If he's outside of the different city, once a week or once a month. If he's far, Rabbi Yitzchak says, Chayev Adam lahakbel pnei Rabbi beregel. Chodesh and Shabbos is because you're closer and therefore you could go to Chodesh and Shabbos. The Turei Even says, how does he know Yom Tov? It doesn't say anything about Yom Tov. So he says, Chodesh and Shabbos in this pasuk is, Chodesh is Rosh Chodesh Tishrei, which is Rosh Hashanah. And Shabbos means Yom Tov, like it says by Sfiras Soimer, Sfartim Lechem Mimacharas HaShabbos, the day after Yom Tov. So he teaches that Chodesh and Shabbos is Rosh Hashanah and Shabbos. And he says, that's why he says before the pasuk says loy chodesh v'loy Shabbos. L'cha'ira, what comes first, Shabbos or chodesh? Shabbos is every week. Chodesh is once a month. He should have said loy Shabbos and loy chodesh, because Shabbos is more tadr. So he says, but he's talking about
That's Shabbos.
no, chodesh is Rosh Hashanah and Shabbos is Yom Tov.
Right.
Yeah,
Machos Shabbos. That's
Yeah.
what,
that's what the
Turei
Turei Even says.
The kid came to him in the field and was crying Abba Abba, but Roshi I think was the lesson, right? I think he said.
Chodesh is
And then his
Rosh
wife
Hashanah
takes
and
off
Shabbos is
Galisha,
Yom
and he
Tov.
hasn't figured this
Should
out.
say Yom Tov also first, because you have 3 Yom Tov and 1 Rosh Hashanah.
Buddha from him.
You say Yom Tov is the Gemarah
Say-
Rosh Hashanah.
Yeah, for the same argument that Talia
I
Venotana.
would make a limit from it, from his words, you make a limit. Make a limit from
Yes,
the
but the Cheshivas of Rosh Hashanah. The Noida Behuda writes like this: that Chodesh and Shabbos, any day that there's a special kedusha, there's an inyan to go to your Rebbe to be. This is what the Noida Behuda says, to be mekabel hashpah of kedusha. But nonetheless, he says that's why Chodesh Hayom. There's always an inyan to go to the Rebbe. There's Chodesh Shabbos. He says, but Rabbi Yitzchak can't say it's a chiyuv. Why can't he say it's a chiyuv? Because then it would be that Kvoid Harav is greater than Kvoid Shamayim. Hashem, there's only a chiyuv Pesach Shavuos Sukkos. To say your Rebbe, you're mechuyev Pesach Shavuos Sukkos every Shabbos and every Rosh Chodesh. Is there an inyan to go Shabbos and Rosh Chodesh? Yeah, that's why he said, why are you going? It's not Rosh Chodesh, it's not Shabbos. But the chiyuv can't be more than the chiyuv to go to Yerushalayim to the Beis Hamikdash. That's what he says. So that's why the Yitzchak says the chiyuv is on Shlosh Regalim. That's what Noida Behuda says. Shalsa Chuvas Noida Behuda.
That's the memory. But you don't have a raya. You have a raya from that. If you learn like that, you don't have a raya. About
Right. No. So Noida Behuda says from there you have a raya that there's a certain days you go to Elisha. Yeah. So like you said, if Chodesh you go, Shabbos you go, for sure you go Yom Tov.
Right, that's what
But there's not going to be a chiyuv on Shabbos and Rosh Chodesh. That's what the Noida Behuda says. And with this he explains why in Torah and Shulchan Aruch there's no halacha that you're mechuyev to go to your Rebbe on Yom Tov. There should be such a halacha. So he says because since there's no Beis Hamikdash now, so we don't have a chiyuv to go up Pesach Shavuos Sukkos Laila Regel. So mainly you can't say for the Shechina you're not going up. But for the Rebbe, you're going up. So Noida Behuda says that's why there's no chiyuv in Tur and Shulchan Aruch. The Rambam, who brings also halachas of Beis Hamikdash and Mashiach, Taka does bring the halacha. That's what he explains. Because the Rambam brings even halachas that are not negei bisman, not negei bisman hazeh. That's the shit of the Noida Behuda. Rabbi Yonis and Eibshitz, the Yaris Dvash, writes punkt farket. He says that bisman hazeh, that we can't go be makabel pnei shechina the Beis Hamikdash. You gotta go to your Rebbe. Because that is how you makabel pnei shechina.
We have to go to Arizona?
So punkt farket.
Comes home for Yom Tov. But the question is,
It's verkehrt, punkt farket. The Noida Behuda writes, you don't go to the shechina, you're going to your Rebbe. Yeah, his Vash says verkehrt. You makabel pnei shechina through going to the Rebbe. So there's a chiyuv today dafka to be makabel pnei Rebbe. According to him, the chiyuv is dafka bisman hazeh to be makabel pnei Rebbe. Punkt verkehrt from the Noida Behuda. The Rambam brings it in Hilchas Talmud Torah, very interesting. He doesn't bring it in Hilchas Yom Tov. He brings it in Hilchas Talmud Torah. In other words, it's a din in Talmud Torah. That's where the Rambam brings it. The Rambam says in Hilchas Talmud Torah, you're mechuyev to go. It's like part of Talmud Torah. This is like part of the, so to speak, the relationship of Talmud Torah. You don't just sit and learn. Huh?
Okay, it's Friday. This guy.
Wollen wir gehen weiter? Wollen wir Rabbi Yitzchak said weiter. Chayev Adam L'tayr es atzmei beregel. You thinking bunch of going Shabbos to Borough Park? Because Shabbos, kannst gehen. Kannst schicken the vibe. Well, Chodesh lo Shabbos.
True, that's the truth.
V'amar Rabbi Yitzchak Chayev Adam L'tayr es atzmei beregel. A person is mechuyev to cleanse himself from tumah by every Yom Tov. Shenemar, why? Why are you mechuyev? If you're a kohen, you're going to the Beis Hamikdash, I understand. Why am I mechuyev? Shenemar, it says by Tumas Nevela in Vayikra, Mipsaram, we'll quote the pasuk, Mipsaram loy seichelu, don't eat a dead animal that wasn't shechted properly. Nor should you touch the nevela, the dead corpse of the animal. It's tameh. So here's the question. I'm not allowed to touch a nevela. I'm not allowed to eat a nevela, but a regular Jew is not allowed to touch a nevela. So Tanya Namiyachi, we'll also learn to Braise Benivlasam Loisigo. Yachel you Yisrael was heard on Maganavela. Jews are not allowed to touch the dead corpse of a kosher animal. Talmud Loima, the pasuk says, Emayra lakoyanim b'nei Aaron v'amarta alem l'nefesh lo yitama ba'amav. Tell the koyanim, the sons of Aaron, that they're not allowed to become contaminated. A koyan has to be careful not to become tameh. B'nei Aaron muzharim, b'nei Yisrael ain't muzharim. Why does he say Emayra lakoyanim? Tell every Jew he's not allowed to touch a nevela. He's not allowed to become tameh. Is the charaya? It's proof for me that the command is only on koyanim. A Yisrael is allowed to become tameh. So now you have a kal Madach touching a mace, a person, a Jew is a mace, which is a very stringent tumah. You become tummy for 7 days and you need the ashes of the red heifer. Still, Kayanim Muzarin Allah Yisrael Ebenim Muzarin. It's only on Kayanim, not on Yisrael. Yisrael is allowed to touch a mace, even though it's a pain. If he wants to become tar, but it's not a problem. Tumah Kala like Holshaken, so you're going to tell me. Tumas mace of a dead Jew, Yisrael is allowed to become tummy. And Tumas Nevela, touching the dead corpse of a Nevela, which is completely not similar to the tumah of Tumas mace. You don't need a paradum ashes. You don't need you don't need 7 days. You go to the mikveh, you become tired. For sure, Yisrael is allowed. So Matam Adloim ben Nivlasam Loisigo. I understand he's not allowed to eat. He's not allowed to eat treif. But what's pshat? He's not allowed to touch the nevela. So Chazal said it's talking about beregel. It's talking about on Yom Tiv, because beregel, even of Yisrael, there's a mitzvah he shouldn't allow himself to become tamei, even betuma kala when it comes beregel. There's a special din of chayev adam l'tayir esatzmei. And if you are tamei before the Yom Tiv, so you're mechuyev to be in a matzav of purity during Pesach, Shavuos, and Sukkot, even though you're a Yisrael, and therefore you shouldn't allow yourself to become tamei on Yom Tov. On Yom Tov. L'chayr it's mashma from here that this is even a Jew who's not oile regel. If I'm going to the Beis Hamikdash, I don't need a chiyuv. You're not allowed to go into the Beis Hamikdash tamedik. Even a Yisrael is not allowed to go to the Beis Hamikdash with tumah. So obviously you're going to have to be matayir yourself. But l'chayr the chiddush here is that even if you're not being oile regel, in other words, it's not mitzad the din of going into the Beis Hamikdash. It's because Yom Tov is coming, so therefore you have to be matayir yourself.
Anyways, you have to eat sham simcha, no? And the kapch, you have to eat kachim kala.
Right. The question would be: is this chiyuv nohig b'zman hazeh? That's a question. Is this chiyuv chayev ad mutar natzmei beregel? L'chayre from this Gemarah would seem it doesn't have to do with the Beis Hamikdash, so it's mechuyev. L'poyel mamish, it's not brought that chayev ad mutar natzmei beregel.
So we don't have the paraduma.
No, so the Rishonim say because kulanu tmei mesim, because we don't have the paraduma, so any going to remain tamei. Amar Reb Krus Bedoi, Amar Reb Yochanan. Reb Krus Bedoi said in the name of Reb Yochanan. Shloisha Sfarim Niftachim Rosh Hashanah. 3 books are opened up on Rosh Hashanah. Rashi says, what's pshat 3 books? Shloisha Sfarim Sifrei Zikaron Shal Ma'aseh HaBriyos. Books of data, of memory of all the activities of every creature, every person. Echad Shal Rishayim Gemurim. One is a book of the complete Rishayim. Ve'echad Shal Tzadikim Gemurim. There's a sefer of complete Tzadikim. Ve'echad Shal Beinanim, and the sefer of the Beinanim, the ones in the middle, the intermediaries. Tzadikim Gemurim Nechtavim V'Nechtamim La'alter L'Chayim. Tzadikim Gemurim immediately get written down and sealed in that book. La'alter immediately L'Chayim for life. Rishayim Gemurim Nechtavim V'Nechtamim La'alter L'Misa. Get written and sealed right away for death. Rashi says, Rishayim, no, that's later. Rishayim Gemurim Nechtav Nechem La'alter L'Misa. Beinanim Zak Rashi Tluyin V'Oimnim in Rosh Hashanah V'ad Yom HaKippurim. They remain suspended between Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur. Zachu, if they marry, they do tshuva, Nechtavin L'Chayim. Loi Zachu, Nechtavin L'Misa. Amar Rebavin, Micro, what's the pasuk? How do you know this? David HaMelech says, Yimachu M'Sefer Chayim V'im Tzadikim Al Yikasevu. He speaks about his enemies. Let them be erased from the book of life. With tzaddikim, they should not be transcribed. He says, "Yimachu misefer." It says, "Sifron shel Rishayim Gemurim." They should be erased even from the sefer of Rishayim Gemurim. Chaim is a sifron shel tzadikim, ve'im tzadikim is a sifron shel beinanim. So David HaMelech says three things. Yimachu, they should be completely erased sefer from any sefer. Chaim is they should be erased from the book of life, which is a sefer of tzadikim. Ve'im tzadikim al yikasevu is a third thing. They shouldn't be written down even in sifron shel beinanim. Reb Nachem Yitzchak Amar Mehacha, from here. Moshe asks Hashem to forgive the Jewish people with the Chet HaEgel, and he says, because this is the first Rashi L'Yom Hadin. You see? L'Yom Hadin. Moshe says, I want Hashem to forgive the Jewish people. If you forgive them, great. V'im ayin, if not, Mecheini no misifrecha asher kasafta. Blot me out, erase me from the book that you have written. So he teaches, Mecheini no zeh sifron shel Rishayim. Erase me, Moshe says, even from the Sefer of Rishayim I don't want to be in. Moshe says, Misifrecha is a Sifron shel Tzadikim. From your Sefer, there's a Sefer of Tzadikim, take me out of there. Asher Kasafta that you wrote, is a Sifron shel Beinanim, that's a Sefer of Beinanim.
Rabbi,
Yeah.
I have a question.
Yes, go ahead.
How does the member of Rambam square with what the Yitzchak learned that you should, what David HaMelech did seems to be connected. He's davening for bad things to come to he's davening against Goyim. What was he davening?
Oh, you mean he's Moshe Din L'Chavera? He's Moshe Din L'Chavera. Well, David didn't have a Bezdin. And they wanted to destroy him. So he went to Hashem. He didn't have a Bezdin.
So he had to go to them
On the
first.
contrary, the king...
He had to go to them first. He had to go to them first and tell them he was going to daven against them.
But he had sworn enemies. Avram
No, they
Avinu
were out-
wasn't Sarah's enemy.
They were out to get him.
They wanted to destroy him,
So
yeah.
if, against the road, if you don't have to take care
Right.
of it.
Yeah, they were mamash right for him, yeah. What was he supposed to do? He ran and ran. So here, Moshe Rabbeinu, he sacrifices himself for the Jewish people, and he says, Mecheini no mesifrech asher kasafta, all three svara. Mecheini no sifron shel Rishayim, I don't even want to be. And mesifrech sifron shel tzadikim, and asher kasafta, sifron shel beinanim. Tanya, we have a brayse b'Shamai, Yomim b'Shamai says,
Change this
ah?
Tshuva during the year, can still change the Sefer, what was written in the Sefer Shoshana? It says,
Tosfos learns that the whole nechtavin v'nechtamin la'alter l'chaim l'mis is all olam haba. It's not even this world. It's completely olam haba. It's not even this world. That's what Tosfos learns. The Rambam learns in Hilchas Tshuva. He says a big yesod here. Tzadikim means majority mitzvahs. Beinanim means half and half. Rishayim means majority avedas. And says no one knows how to measure majorities and minorities. He says never. The Rambam says a Jew can do millions of avedas and one mitzvah, and that mitzvah makes it the majority, or the other way around. There's no cheshboinus. These things nobody knows.
We don't know.
Huh? Yeah, we don't know. Yeah. What's called a mitzvah? What's called mechitz? You put it on a scale, 50.
Rashi L'Chor says the same thing. Li'amadik yishich yamesim.
Right. That's the next Gemara. That's the
I
next.
know,
Gemara.
but he's going back. Probably that's the pshat in this Gemara too. Also says no sheiches.
Right.
What
Right.
is according to Tanya that finally don't hold only somebody never said?
Shabbos.
Huh?
Yeah,
Yeah, but there. Yeah, that's a different one. That's the Shem Amiti. But he also says Shem Mushal, and Tanya says Shem Mushal of a Beinani is Mechza al Mechza. Shem Hamiti is.
Wow, Rabbi, look up 5 lines from the bottom. Starts at the beginning of the line. Sifra shel tzadikim asher kasafta, it says Sifra shel beinanim Tanya. What is that?
Very good. Sifrin Shel Beinanim Tanya. Very good. Very good.
You're Rosh Hashanah.
No, maybe we should give a sheet of that. I have a hard time to tell you that I live to get the Murim in the way.
Okay, mit afreden wegen da. Mit afreden wegen da.
Ah, nice.
Very nice. Sifrin Shel Beinanim Tanya. Very good. Very good. Very
Just say
good.
that for the camera. Let them hear it.
Also, the Ramban says here that when it says tzaddikim and rishayim, nechtamin, it doesn't mean stam tzaddikim and rishayim. He learned tzaddikim and rishayim legabi this din. In other words, this Rosh Hashanah, they're being treated as tzaddikim. It could be as a Rasha. It's not like this person is tzaddik, it's a Rasha. It's not so simple. This Rosh Hashanah, he's being treated as a tzaddik. Nechtavim v'nechtamin l'chayim. This Rosh Hashanah, he's being treated as a Rasha. Yeah, I'm saying it's not. Okay, let's just see right. Tanya, another little piece. Tanya Beishamai Yerim Beishamai says, Shalosh Kitasein Liyom Hadin. There are three groups. Liyom Hadin. Rashi says Yom Hadin Ksheyichyu Amesim. After Mashiach comes, after the resurrection of the dead. Achas Shal Tzadikim Gemurim. One is a group of complete tzaddikim. Achas Shal Rishayim Gemurim, complete Rishayim. Rashi says Rubam Avoinus, most majority sins. And Achas Shal Beinanim. Rashi says Mechza half and half. Tzaddikim Gemurim after Tchias Amesim Nechtav Menechtam Al to L'Chaye Olam. They get sealed, they get written and sealed immediately for the life of Olam Haba. Shenemar, the pasuk says in the Nil, Rabbi Yishene Admas Offer Yakitsu Ela L'Chai Olam Ve'ela L'Charfus L'Diroin Olam. By Tchias HaMesim, when many of those sleeping in the earth will awake, will arise, these will go to the life of eternity, and these will go L'Charafis. Charafis means to cherpa, to shandal L'Diroin Olam, to eternal deterioration or damnation. The Marsha says it means 12 months. The Roy Nolam is 12 months. And Beinanim is Yoridin LeGehenim. The Beinanim go to Gehenim for a little time. And they, Rashi says, they have an hour of Yisurim and they cry, and they come up. Shenemar ve'evesi, the Pasuk says in Scharia, ve'evesi es hashlishis ba'eish utzraftim kitzreifes hakesef upchantim kivchoines hazov uyikr b'shmi v'ani ena oisai. He says, I will bring the third. And the fact that he says a third, he's explaining is a third to the three groups. In other words, the Beinanim. So I'm going to bring him into fire and I will refine him as the silver is refined. I will purify him as this gold is purified. He will call in my name and I will respond to him. V'aleim amra Chana. On these three groups, Chana said in her prayer, Hashem meimis umechaya moirit sha'oil vaya. God brings death and life, brings down to the sha'oil, to the abyss, and brings up. So he's teaching meimis. Rabbi Charanel says meimis is the Rishayim, mechaya is the tzaddikim, moirit sha'oil vaya is the Beinanim will go down and then emerge, come up. There's a sequence, a logical thematic sequence of all the statements of Rabbi Yitzchak. Rabbi Yitzchak here said many things. Yeah, Rabbi Yitzchak said the first thing he said on Tazayin Amad Aleph on the bottom is, why do we blow Rosh Hashanah twice? We blow Tkiyas Miyushav and Tkiyas Mu'umad, and the answer is, as he said, to confuse the Satan, because it demonstrates Chavivus HaMitzvahs, the love of the mitzvahs. Then let's remember, what was the second thing Rabbi Yitzchak said on Tazayin Amid Beis? That a year in which you don't blow in the beginning, you have to blow at the end, because the Satan wasn't confused. Meaning, if there wasn't an ability to blow in the beginning of the year, on Rosh Hashanah, unfortunately they're going to have to blow at the end. The third thing Rabbi Yitzchak said is, every year in which there is humility in the beginning, there is wealth at the end. Yeah, Kol Shana Shirasha B'Tchila. So when you have the Reishis Hashana, when you have the humility, the surrender in the beginning of the year, you have the expansiveness at the end of the year. Then Rabbi Yitzchak said, what? You judge a person only according to his deeds at this moment. He learns from Yishmael, yeah. Ba'asher Husham, yeah. And then Rabbi Yitzchak is going to go on to say other few things. Rabbi Yitzchak is going to go on to say that three things throughout the year bring to the surface the sins of a person. Rabbi Yitzchak is going to say four things allow a person to destroy any gzar din, any verdict. Rabbi Yitzchak is going to talk about that. And then Rabbi Yitzchak is going to speak about welcoming your Rebbe on Yom Tov. Rabbi Yitzchak is going to speak about cleansing yourself during Yom Tov. All these statements of Rabbi Yitzchak. Then the Gemara moves on to something else, to the three books that are opened. At first glance, you could think we're mentioning Rabbi Yitzchak, so throw into the pot whatever comes your way from Rabbi Yitzchak. Is there a thematic connection in Torah? There is a lot of diuk. Things are meticulous. Things are precise. Even if at the surface it doesn't always look connected, there is always a cohesive theme. It's not stam. The Gemara says, okay, let's throw in anything we know from Rabbi Yitzchak. There's other things Rabbi Yitzchak said that are not in this Gemara. So the Ohr Chaim, in his commentary on Masechta Rosh Hashanah, suggests one connection between all these statements of Rabbi Yitzchak. So let me tell you what the Ohr Chaim says. He says the first thing Rabbi Yitzchak says, which is obviously relevant to our Gemara, Masechta Rosh Hashanah, speaking about Rosh Hashanah and Shofar and the judgment, that through blowing Shofar and Rosh Hashanah, the Satan gets completely confused. Once he says that, he now comes to say the second statement, that if you didn't blow shofar at the beginning of Rosh Hashanah, the Satan wasn't confused. So therefore, there's problems, and since there's problems, you're going to have to blow shofar at the end of the year. From this, we have a problem. What's the problem? According to this, what happens if the person couldn't blow shofar in the beginning of the year? Tosfos says, nenas, like we said before, nenas. Something happened, he couldn't blow shofar. What is he supposed to do? Is this person doomed? You didn't blow shofar in the beginning of the year. You couldn't. Is this person doomed? Chas v'shalom? So Rabbi Yitzchak says something else. He says a third statement. What? Kol shana sherasha b'tchilasim es asher es b'soifa. Hashem gives a refuah to the makkah. He gives a remedy. If a person couldn't blow shofar in the beginning of the year, there is another component, and that is rasha b'tchilasa. If a person remains humble and surrenders his ego in the beginning of the year, even though he didn't blow shofar, it'll be a year of expansiveness. It'll be a year of health. In fact, you can add that it's even deeper than this. Rasha b'tchilasa represents tkiyas shofar. Why? When you blow shofar, you have one side is narrow and the other side is wide. It says you have to blow from the narrow side because the pasuk says, "Min hameitzar karasiya, anani b'merchavya." I call out to you from meitzar, from narrow constraints, and you respond to me, you answer me b'mercha, from expansiveness. Just like the shofar, you blow from the narrow side, and the voice reverberates from the broad side. In fact, that's the first pasuk from the 7 psukim we say before Tkiyah Shofar is the pasuk Min HaMeitzar. So the very experience of Tkiyah Shofar is the experience of Min HaMeitzar Karasa Yudke. You're calling out from a place of narrowness, from a place of agony, of restraint, of deep restriction. You feel restriction and you want to get out of it. And as a result of that, you have the merchav. So that's the kol shana sherasha b'tchilasa. When you have a year, with the beginning of the year, there is that sense of surrender, of vulnerability, of humility. That creates the merchav. In other words, it's a substitute of tkiyah shofar. And it could even be more. When a person doesn't blow shofar in the year, beginning of the year because they don't have, or they're forced not to, so then the humility is even greater. The very pain that they can't blow the shofar, that very sense of agony and humility, that itself becomes a powerful tool to substitute for Tkiyah Shofar, and therefore it will be an expansive year, even though they didn't blow Shofar. According to this, Ohr Chaim says we have another question. What's the question? The question is, how can it be that through the humility on Rosh Hashanah you're going to have wealth at the end of the year? How could that be? What happens if during the year the person falls? Person stumbles. Okay, the beginning of the year you were great, you were humble, you surrendered, but you know how it is. The ego grows on us. So what if in the middle of the year, things are going to change? So Rabbi Yitzchak comes and says the next statement, that even though Hashem may know different things that will happen during the year, we don't judge a person only according to his deeds right now. According to his deeds right now, that's what counts. If so, if on Rosh Hashanah he's in a certain state of mind, that defines the year. But if this is the case, what do we see from here? That all of the events of a person depends on the judgment of Rosh Hashanah. So that means, if I'm good Rosh Hashanah, great, and if not, I'm doomed. So now come the next two statements of Rabbi Yitzchak. What are the next two statements of Rabbi Yitzchak? Rabbi Yitzchak says, in the middle of the year you still have power. Both ways. He says sometimes there's 3 things in the middle of the year that remind God of one's sins, and there's other things in the middle of the year that can destroy any verdict, even the most negative verdict. So basically, all the statements of Rabbi Yitzchak, the Ohr Chaim says, are a seamless, cohesive flow. It's one theme that begins with Tkiyah Shofar, and he continues it throughout the whole sugya. The Ohr Chaim does not explain the connection with the last 2 statements about Rabbi Yitzchak, that Chayav Adam, a person is mechuyev to welcome, to go visit his Rebbe on Yom Tov, and that you have to cleanse yourself before Yom Tov. That he doesn't explain the connection. Perhaps that's part of Hilchis Yom Tov, part of Regel, part of the halachas of Regel. He doesn't explain the connection over there. Okay, now one more thing. You asked about the Turei Yevon. The Shagas Aryeh says that basically Loi Chodesh v'loi Shabbos. What's the connection with Regel? Chodesh, Rosh Chodesh, and Shabbos. He teaches that Chodesh and Shabbos means Rosh Hashanah and Yom Tov. So you asked about Tadir. L'chayre, Rosh Hashanah is less Tadir than Yom Tov, because Rosh Hashanah is once a year, Yom Tov is 3 times a year, so it should have said first, Loi Shabbos v'loi Chaydish. Let me explain to you what the Torah Evan is saying. There's a big problem in this Gemarah. It says, Chayev Adam lahakbel pnei Rabbi b'regel, Rabbi Yitzchak says, yeah? He brings a raya from Loi Chaydish v'loi Shabbos. Nobody even speaks about Regel. Regel man dechar shmei. It says here, why are you going to Elisha? It's not Rosh Chodesh, it's not Shabbos. How does Rabbi Yitzchak learn from here that you have to go visit your Rebbe on Yom Tov? So therefore, the Torah Yevon says that Shabbos in this pasuk doesn't mean Shabbos, it means Yom Tov. Like Mimacharis HaShabbos by Sfiras Omer. It doesn't mean Shabbos. If it would mean Shabbos, the whole Gemara doesn't make sense. It means Yom Tov. Loi Chodesh v'loi Shabbos means not Chodesh and not Yom Tov. In other words, if it was Yom Tov, you should go. What's his proof? His proof is, if it means Shabbos, why does the pasuk first say Chodesh before Shabbos? Shabbos is more tadur than Chodesh. Shabbos is every week. Rosh Chodesh is only once a month. If it's Yom Tov, it makes beautiful sense. Rosh Chodesh, you have 12 Rosh Chodeshes. Yom Tov, you have only 3. So first you say Chodesh, because that's 12 times, and then you have Shabbos, because tadur v'sheina, tadur Chodesh. That's what the Torah Yevon explains. Then the Torah Yevon says, it could be that Rabbi Yitzchak calls that Chodesh here doesn't mean Rosh Chodesh. Chodesh here means Rosh Hashanah. Because it says Tikku b'Chodesh Shofar, and we learned before in Daf Daled that Tikku b'Chodesh Shofar is referring to Rosh Hashanah. So when it says Chodesh here, it doesn't mean Rosh Chodesh, it means Rosh Hashanah. You'll ask the same question, Yom Tov is more Tadah than Rosh Hashanah. So if Shabbos means Yom Tov, he should have first said Shabbos and then say Chodesh. Plus, you can ask another question. Why does he even have to mention Chodesh? Rosh Hashanah is part of the Yom Tovim. So since Rosh Hashanah is part of the Yom Tovim, why does he even have to mention the idea of Shabbos? Of Chodesh? He could have just gone straight to Shabbos, right? That's a second question. So the Torah Yevon says, because if he would have said Shabbos first, and that would include also Rosh Hashanah, because Rosh Hashanah is part of Yom Tov, then he doesn't have to say afterwards Chodesh, because Rosh Hashanah is already included in Shabbos. But now that he puts Chodesh first, so he means like this: Loi Chodesh Hayom, which is the Yom Tov of Rosh Hashanah, which is called Chodesh, and not Shabbos, which means other Yom Tovim. If he would have said only Shabbos, you would think that the Shabbos in the pasuk means literally Shabbos. You would think Shabbos means Shabbos, the 7th day of the week. That's why he says first Chodesh, to teach you that Shabbos is not Shabbos mamish, it's Yom Tov. So first he says Chodesh, which means Rosh Hashanah, and then he says Shabbos, which means Yom Tov. That's how the Torah Yevon explains the Gemara. That Shabbos here is not referring to Shabbos. Shabbos here is referring to Yom Tov. Loi Chodesh Hayom, but Loi Shabbos Hayom is Chodesh either means Rosh Hashanah, maybe Rosh Chodesh, but he says it means Rosh Hashanah, and Loi Shabbos Hayom means Yom Tov. There's a Beinani, the way it's defined in Gemarah here in Rosh Hashanah. He says it's a Shem HaMushal. It's a borrowed name. The Shem HaMiti, the real definition of Beinani Tzaddik and Rosh is a different definition. That's what he says in Tanya. It's a borrowed name. For example, what do we mean borrowed? Borrowed means it's not the authentic name. You say Rosh HaShulchan, you're sitting at the head of the table. The table doesn't have a head. You borrow the name Rosh and you say the head of the table. In other words, you mean the beginning of the table, the edge of the table. The table doesn't have a head.
Oh, but
right?
It doesn't say that.
So he says when you say Beinani in Masechta Rosh Hashanah, Hadam Rinam Ba'alma, it's a Shem HaMushal.
But the judgment goes according to what the Gemara said, because
he says Mikra Tzadik B'dinoi Ma'achar Shezoiche B'din. For example, you'll say this person came out of the court case a tzaddik. Doesn't mean he's a tzaddik in everything. It means he was found innocent in this court, unguilty. He was found Rasha B'dina. You're not describing generally who he is in his essence. Legabi, this din, he's a tzaddik. Legabi, the dinim of Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur, he came out a tzaddik that he's nechtev and nechtem l'chayim. He's nechtev and nechtem l'misach chas v'shalom. He's nechtev and nechtem between Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur. Rosh Hashanah is Toleh. That's one cheshbon. When you want to describe who the real person is, he says, no, you have to look differently. A Beinani is another type of person. Beinani is somebody who struggles. Externally, he's like the tzaddik. And yet he's called a Beinani, not a tzaddik, because it's about what's happening internally in his life.
But it's really not that the purpose for a person in the world.
So he says every person is capable of being a Beinani. In other words, not every person is capable of not having any struggle, but a person is capable of being fully in control of their machshavas, their diburim, and their maisim. That's the Beinani in Likutei Amarim, in Sefer Shel Beinani. He calls it Sefer Shel Beinani. But yes, in Masechta Rosh Hashanah, there, like Rashi says clearly, the gather of Tzaddik Beinani and Rosh is a different Agdara. It's Mikra Tzaddik B'dinoi. The Ramban here says tzaddik and rasha means that this Rosh Hashanah he becomes a tzaddik. He's treated as a tzaddik. He's a tzaddik in the din of this Rosh Hashanah. It's not a description of the person's essence and essential nature, essential character. You type is what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Now he also says in Tanya that the Beinani is a Jew that lo avar aveda miyama v'lo yaver lo oilam v'lo nikra lo shem rasha afilu shah achas v'rega echad kol yama. So you have the same shaila on the Ram, like on the Rambam. A Beinani lo avar aveda miyama v'lo yaver lo oilam. So what if a person once did an aveda, he can't be a Beinani? The pshat is, at that moment, the real Beinani is in a matzav that if you replicate this moment forever, he'll not be ever an aveda. Shaykh, tomorrow, people have choices. Different things happen. You change. 1 day at a time, 1 hour at a time, 1 minute at a time. Sometimes 1 second at a time. In this matzav, he's in a matzav. He's in full control. In other words, if this awareness would continue for him his entire life, he would remain in a matzav love and aveda. And the chiddush of the Beinani is that he struggles. It's not that he doesn't struggle. He has a nefesh abamas, he has a nefesh alikis. He's aware of both of them, and he has to deal with both of them.
And he knows that, like, he's not just like Ian Tefillah, that he doesn't trust in himself that he's gonna.
There's no Ian Tefillah by him.
By him.
He never believes that he doesn't have a Yetzer Hara. He always knows that he has it, even if it's asleep, and it can awaken any moment, and therefore he has to stay guard. He never relaxes his gear and says it's just complete peace. He knows that any moment, the bear could wake up from even if it's hibernating, it could wake up and come out of the cave and kill you. He never decides. That's what he come out of left field. That's a different machpchina. Ein lo Yetzer Hara. He brings over there that there's a Gemarah in Nida that mashbi noisei tehi tzadik val ti rasha. Even if the whole world says you're a tzaddik, you should consider yourself like a rasha. So he asks, if you tell somebody, think of yourself as a rasha, it takes away simcha in life. A person can't look in the mirror and look at himself as a rasha. It's not going to work. Either you become careless or you become depressed. If you take it seriously, you become depressed. If you don't take it seriously, you become careless. So he says beautifully, it's not pshat you should consider yourself a rasha. Heyeh beinecha kar rasha. Even a Beinani has to understand, that the struggle is always there, and therefore at any moment, he can fall if he doesn't stand guard. That you have to be aware of. The worst thing is not that you have a heart condition. That you have a heart condition, but the pacemaker is working so well, you think you don't have a heart condition. The worst problem is not that a person is a diabetic. It's that he's taking his insulin, and he's feeling good, and and he forgets. I'm not a diabetic. He comes to the bris, and then you have to rush him to the hospital because his blood circulation is not working. The fact that he's a diabetic is a diabetic. But the fact that you forget that you have a condition. The Beinani, fine. You have a struggle. That's Hayeh beinecha kar rasha. Remember that you have the same struggle that the rasha has. You're fortunate to be in control of your life, but don't forget that. That's what he says. With the tzaddik, it's different. The Beinani was the hero of the Tanya because the Beinani is the person who struggles with everything.
Yeah, most people that's the purpose. Most people.
A rasha in Tanya is not ruboy avoinas. No, a rasha could be one. A rasha in Tanya could be one aveda once in 10 years. In dibur, machshava. Rasha in Tanya is not wicked. Rasha in Tanya is weak. He's a weak person. He's weak. It could be once in 10 years. Why is he called a rasha? Because he's in that matzav. The Beinani is le'avar aveda miyamav le'yavar lo'elam. He's in a matzav he'll never sin. The Rosh, it could be Lapoil, he didn't sin for 10 years. So I'm just kommen red in Lashon Hara. So I'm just kommen. Once in 10 years, so kommen. It's a whole different word in Tanya. In Tanya is a person who's fully in control of his life or not fully in control of his life. A Beinani always sitting at the steering wheel. There could be 100 backseat drivers, not 100. Go here, go there, go there. I'm at the steering wheel. Absolutely, that's the Beinani. There's 100 voices. 100 voices. Go back to addiction. Go back to the internet. Go back here.
And what is the
So I'm giving a dogma from his
I think
career.
it's true.
Yeah.
what is about the tzaddik?
Tzaddik is something
What
else.
is the
Tzaddik is not only at the steering wheel. Tzaddik, the whole car is
So what is the
transformed.
purpose? What is the purpose of life?
Self-driving car like a Tesla.
Huh?
What is the purpose of life?
That's why
Tzaddik.
we try to
Yeah,
get
he has no Yetzirah, he has no.
Well, first of all, to reach the state of a tzaddik, the tzaddik has to work on himself to reach that state. According to Sefer Shalbeinim, not everybody can even be a tzaddik. It's a gift, milmaila, but the gift is the capacity to be a tzaddik. The capacity to be a tzaddik is a gift, but you have to work on yourself to reach it.
But doesn't he have to be from the beginning of his life throughout
From
his
the
life?
no, not at all. No. He says clearly in Tanya Perek Yud that the tzaddik is nilchem kol kach im nefesh habahamis until he either eliminated or even transformed it. He teaches will be arta aram mikir becha. Mikir becha means from the kishkas, from inside. That's the word. It could be he had to work very hard. You understand? The capacity for a tzaddik he was born with. His neshama has certain koiches, but he may never become a tzaddik. The fact that he became a tzaddik was due to his own effort and toil. And he says that's a difference between an Eved Hashem and an Oved Hashem. A tzaddik is called Eved Hashem. He already became an Eved. A Beinoni is an Oved Hashem. He's fighting. Like we learned in the Maimon, Oides Avudin. He's fighting. He's tanning the skin. But that's a Shem HaMiti of Beinoni and tzaddik and Rosh, not Shem HaMushal. Here we're talking about in Rosh Hashanah, Second Rosh Hashanah, Shem HaMushal, the borrowed name. Mikra tzaddik bedinoi me'achash zoiche bedin. He's zoiche in the din of Rosh Hashanah Yom Kippur. He's called a tzaddik bedinoi. He comes out righteous in court. You say you came out innocent in court. That means this person never did anything that's not innocent. He's innocent in everything. No, in court he came out innocent. This Rosh Hashanah he comes out as a tzaddik, which is wonderful, but it doesn't have to do with the true ultimate definition. So Yud Zayin Amar Aleph, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Beis Hillel Loimrim. So the Gemara on Tazayin Amid Beis brings a Braisa, a few lines, Tazayin Amid Beis, a few lines from the bottom, brings a Braisa, Tanya. Something Beis Shammai said. Beis Shammai said that there are going to be 3 groups that are going to be judged during Tchiyas HaMesim, what he calls Yom Hadin, the day of judgment. Rashi says it's referring to Yikshayichu HaMesim, not Yom Hadin when a person passes away, but after Mashiach comes during the time of the resurrection. So there's going to be 3 groups. He says one is going to be of Tzaddikim Gemurim, one of Rishayim Gemurim, and one of Beinanim. And Rashi says Rishayim Gemurim means that the majority of their lives are sins, and Beinanim is half and half. And Beis Shammai said that Tzaddikim Gemurim will just be transcribed and sealed immediately to life, l'chai olam, to eternal life. The Rishayim to, he says Gehenim, and he brings the pasuk from Daniel about the split between chai olam and diroyin olam. And then the Beinanim, he says, will descend to Gehenim for a small time. Mitzavtzefim, Rashi says they will weep. And then they're going to come up, they'll have their full healing, their full tikkun. And he brings a pasuk from Zechariah. I was going to refine the 3rd group in fire like you refine silver and gold. And this is what Chana referred to. She referred to all these groups. There is Hashem Memis, there's Hashem Mechaya, and there's Moirish Sha'ol Vayal. There's causing death, there's causing life, and then there's those who come down and then come up again. This is the view of Beis Shammai. Beis Hillel has a different view. Kedarkoi, Beis Hillel is Midas HaChesed, and more lenient B'chlal than Halacha than Beis Shammai. So he says, Beis Hillel Loimrim, Beis Hillel says, no. We said that the 3rd group, the Beinanim, are Yordin. The Gemara says they're Yordin leGehenim, and then Mitzavtzefim va'oilin. Rashi says they sigh, they cry, they scream, and they come up. Beis Hillel says no. V'rav Chesed means Mata Klape Chesed. We say in the Yud Gimel Midas Harachamim, the 13 attributes of mercy from Parshas Kisisa. Hashem, Hashem, Kel, Rachum, V'chanon, Erech Hapayim, V'Rav Chesed. Rav Chesed doesn't only mean that there is Chesed. Rav Chesed means there's an abundance of Chesed. There's an overflow of Chesed. It's excessive. It's Chesed in Rav, abundance. So Beis Hillel says it means Mate Klapi Chesed. Whenever there's an equal balance and you can go this way, you can go that way, Mate, he makes sure it's inclined, it weighs down. Mate means it gravitates, it's noite, it's reclined. Klapi Chesed towards the side of Chesed.
So they've never been in them?
Yeah, so Rashi says Klapi Chesed. Hoyel mechza mechza. Since it has half and half, we're talking about Beinanim. Hey Mate mes hey Hoyel mechza mechza heim. Since they are half and half, Kama. So Mate, the Rebbeinu Shalom, Hashem is Mate. He gravitates, he moves as a hechra, the scale, so to speak, l'tzat schus, to the side of merit, ve'in yoidun l'gehenna. And they don't descend at all to Gehenna. Like the tzaddikim, who zachiyas amerubim, they don't go down. That's what Beis Hillel says.
He holds only base keepers.
Right. Right.
Even though the Gemara's before, we talked about that they're been in them.
You mean about Rosh Hashanah?
Yeah.
Yeah. So the question is, would Beis Hillel disagree with Reb Chruz Defoi, who said 3 books open on Rosh Hashanah? So, so some say that's in Olam Haza, this is in Olam Haba. In Olam Haba you have the Rav Chesed. And the Rashba says, the Rashba in Shal Tshuva says, no, that was talking about, we're going to see, the Gemara is going to discuss, Beinanim that are also Poisha Yisrael Begufam. We're going to see it's a special category, and that is where Beis Hillel agrees with him. You don't say Mate Klape Chesed. We're here, he's talking about regular Beinanim. That's what the Rashba says. There's a pasuk.
Can be a Beinanim?
Yeah. That's what the Rashba Tayin is. That the Shloisha Svarim, the Beinanim, Beis Hillel agrees, but that's so unique. Yeah. Yeah.
It's like they're not.
So we'll soon see. We'll soon see. We'll soon see. The pasuk says Ve'vesis Ashlishis Be'esh, which Beis Shammai quoted. So the Gemara is going to ask that. Beis Hillel continues. Aleim Amar David. David HaMelech spoke about these Jews when he said it to the Mizber and to Tehillim and Hallel. Ahavti ki yishma Hashem eskoili. I love that Hashem heard my voice. On a surface level, I'm pshat. It's talking about David HaMelech after he became a king and finally he relaxed from being chased down and hunted during the days of Shaul, his father-in-law. David did not have a day of peace. So finally he says this Mizmer after he has some serenity, and he speaks about Ki hita oznali afafuni chevle maves mitzori shaol mitzauni tzara v'yagen emtza v'shem Hashem ekra daloisi v'liyoshia but shuvi nafshi l'menuchoichi. He thanks Hashem ki Hashem gamal alaychi chilatz nafshi m'maves, and he says finally as halich lifnei Hashem be'ertzos hachayim. The Gemara teaches that David HaMelech is actually talking about not only his personal life, but he's talking about these Jews. Ahavti ki yishma Hashem eskoili, that even though afafuni chevle maves, meaning L'choide Beis Shammai would say they have to go to Gehenna. Nonetheless, Aleim Amar David Kol Parsha Kula Daloisi V'Liyahoshia. Daloisi means I'm poor, but yet you helped me, and that's why he says Shuvi Nafshel V'Nechoiches Halach L'Fnei Hashem B'Artzos HaChayim, that they have Chaye Olam Haba. The Rashash and the Bnei Yisachar both bring Ki Hita Oznoi Li is Pshat Ahavti Ki Yishma Hashem Eskoili Ki Hita Oznoi Li. Oznoi literally means his ear, right? Hita means you bend over your ear to hear me. He says Oznoi comes from the word Moznayim. Hita Oznoi. He was Noita. He was Mata, like Rashi says. He was Mata the Moznayim Oznoi Li.
We don't say this today. We don't say Gonzalo today.
The Shchaydish is saying. Daloisi v'liya Shia is pshat. In other words, even though the L'cha'ira Tosfos brings, what's pshat Daloisi v'liya Shia? Even though Daloisi means Dal means poor, like you have in Vayikra, right? Vim Dalhu. Dal means even though I'm poor, spiritually poor, nonetheless, Liya Shia. He's Rav Chesed, he's Mata Klape Chesed, and he lifts me up. Tosfos also brings another type. You see the first Tosfos. Aleim Amar David Ahavti. The Ksiv Be'afafuni Chevlei Maves. Pangs of death have engulfed me, enveloped me. Uksiv Daloisi V'Liya Yishia Kshu Dal B'Mitzvus. Rav Chesed Matu Mashiach Kedemashtashin Lekaman. That's Daloisi. That's why the Gemarah brings these words. Inami, another Pshat Miloshin, Daloi Dalo Lanu. Yisro's daughters, they came home and they told their father that this man from Egypt, Daloi Dalo Lanu, he drew the water for us from the well. Shemaleyu mi boir amok. Pshat here Daloisi is not from the word I was poor, but Daloisi I was lifted up from the abyss. Uksiv Basrei, right afterwards, the pasuk says, Shuvi nafshilim nechoichi v'goymer, and then finally, v'hadar, at the end it says, afterwards, Es halech ba'artsois hachayim, I shall walk in the lands of life. This is the view of Beis Hillel. Says the Braisa weiter, continuing after Beis Shammai and Beis Hillel, Poish Yisrael begufon. When you have a special category called sinners of Israel with their bodies, the Gemara is going to explain what that means. Upoishu Masailim begufon, and sinners of the nations of the world with their bodies, Yoidim legehenna. They descend to purgatory v'nedoinim b'shtei masach chodesh, and they get judged there for 12 months. 12 months. Which, as we know, that the mishpat of Gehenna, even for very serious people who need a lot of spiritual cleansing, is Shnei Masach Chodesh. La'achar Shnei Masach Chodesh. After 12 months, Gufon Kala, their body ceases, which literally means the body. The Gemara Rashi says, Begufon Lekame Mefarish, and here it means L'chayda, that the body doesn't get up in Tchias HaMesim. V'nishmason Nisrefes, the neshama gets burned. I'll explain in a moment what that means. The Rambam says what this means. V'ruach, and the spirit of Hashem, mefazarton, it spreads, so to speak, the ashes. Tachas kapois raglei tzadikim, under the kapois, the soles of the feet of the tzadikim. Shenemar, Malachi says about La'asid Lovi, he says, va'asoisem, asoisem from the word isa, from the word dough, which is kneaded together. The dough, which is trampled on, of the Rishayim, when it's going to be ashes under the soles of your feet. What does this mean? So the Ramban says that it's actually a positive thing. That don't think that Poishi Yisrael Begufan or Poishi Masaylam Begufan don't have a tikkun. They have a tikkun. The way the tikkun is, sometimes Tchias HaMesim is the body comes back. The Ramban has a known chibur called Shar Hagmul, which means the portal of schar, of reward, Shar Hagmul. So the Ramban says there, that the guf sometimes is not come Tchias HaMesim, but the neshama is nisrefes. Nisrefes means when you burn something, it's transformed, right? When something is burnt, the Gemara says, Ponim chadashas ba'olakan. You say it turns into ashes, it's not the same mitzias. In other words, sometimes, to purify somebody, as we know, you could just work with them, and sometimes they need a complete transformation. If anything from the old self stays, it's just too toxic, it's too many challenges. You need a complete purity, complete transformation. And he says, and then, the Ruach of Hashem, which the Ramban says is Ruach Hanocha V'Ratzon, a Ruach of pleasantness, brings them under the kapis raglei tzadikim, so they could join, so to speak, the world of the tzadikim, the world of kedusha. That's what the Gemara is saying.
How would somebody else let them kapis raglei tzadikim?
No, I don't know. It's like
sometimes
like the part of the punishment. He says, no, this is it, that they join. So again, this is all obviously euphemisms. We're not dealing with physical flames that exist in Gehenna. No physical snow, no physical. It's all euphemisms for various processes that people, that souls go through, which is of course for their benefit, to be able to clean up the mess. They should be able to be restored to their pristine, innate kedusha and glory.
He puts together
yeah, it's interesting. Which the Gemara is going to discuss what that means. What Pashum. But this is what the Ramban says in Shar Agmul. He says on Ruach, the word Ruach, he says Ruach Hanocha V'Ratzon. No. Pashto Begufan is not the Nazis. Pashto Begufan is Arayas. It's Arayas. It's not.
But Shem is Bnei Noach there.
Yeah.
Where they going? They're going to have
no, because people get that Ruach means it's a wind that takes, when the wind blows, the ashes spread around. So he says Ruach is Ruach Hanocha V'Ratzon. It's a Ruach of Menucha and Ratzon. That's what it means. Mefazart, and it brings them Tachas Kapis Raglei Atzadik.
But the Goyim goes to Gehinnom?
Huh?
The Goyim, they go to
That's
Gehinnom?
what he says.
There is a life after life? For the goyim?
For some, yeah. There's different shit. This Avodas HaKodesh is where Meir ben Gabbai holds that Chisa Mesim is for non-Jews also. For Jews and for non-Jews. A lot of shit is hold that Chisa Mesim is for Jews and non-Jews also.
That island at the ruin Olam.
Before you mean?
No, everybody will get up, and it would be how you gonna punish them if they don't get up.
Oh, you mean before? Rabbi Yeshene Admas offer Yakitzu, Eilu L'chai Olam, Ve'eilu L'charofis L'deroin Olam.
Yeah, so everybody gets up, no?
Yeah, I mean, I guess Yakitzu, I don't know.
Get up means.
I guess something. And by the way, when it says L'diroyin Olam, which sounds like for eternal damnation, Tosfos is going to say soon, it doesn't mean Olam means 12 months. Even Beishamai, who says the Rishayim go L'diroyin Olam, he's going to say he means 12 months. He doesn't mean Olam eternally.
That's 12 months.
Yeah.
You need to suffer more than
Huh?
20 years.
What?
You need to suffer more than we suffer here already. That's
The word is, it's a form, it's cleansing. It's a form of cleansing, you know, it's like cosmic therapy. Weiter. Aval HaMinim, now there's another group, Aval HaMinim, you have the Minim. Now what are these Minim? Here you have an interesting Rashi, and it was censored by all the prints of Gemarah that had to be printed in Christian countries. How do we know? Because we have the first prints of Rashi in Rif and Ein Yaakov, and the Ktuki Sofrim. Rashi wrote something else. Let's see what it says here. Rashi says, Haminim, ha'anoshim asher hafchu divrei elikim chayim lira. Interesting expression. It's not pshat stam minim. People who took the words of a living God and they transformed it to negativity. So Rashi says, stukim and baitoisim. Stukim and baitoisim literally means are the Talmidim of Tzaddik and Baitus who lived in this man Bayis Sheni, and they completely transformed. They created the sects known as the Sadducees, the Tzdukim, or the Baitusim. Sorceries, yeah. I thought Sadducees, okay. Who denied Torah Shabbal Peh, who denied Schar V'Oinish, Yeah. But the original print of Rashi said, V'heim Talmidei Yeshay HaNoitzri. Kegoin Talmidei Yeshay HaNoitzri. Yoshke,
These are the ones we mean when we say V'Lashinim.
So all the Gemaras that were printed in Christian countries, they had to change. So they changed Talmidei Yeshay HaNoitzri because it could be dangerous for the Jews. They wouldn't let it be printed, to criticize them that way. But that's very interesting.
Luckily, there's also Jews in the Arab countries where they would say that.
Yeah.
Luckily, there were Jews in the Arab countries.
That's why we. Yeah. If you look in Ein Yaakov and Rashi, or the first edition of Rashi, and Mefarshim bring it says Talmidei Yeshay HaNoitzri. So he says Aval HaMinim, but these types of people, the Minim. Masoiris. Rashi says Masoiris is Malshinim, informers, Shemoisrim Mamin, Yisrael Bi'adov Dikechavim. They would take Jewish money and give it over to the hand of idolaters. V'ha'apikursim, Rashi teaches Apikursim, Mevaza Talmidei Chachamim, denigrate Talmidei Chachamim. And Rashi Vaitis of the Gemara, next category. Shekafru B'Torah, when you have those who denied Apikursim Shekafru B'Torah. So Rashi learns Apikursim is Mevaza Talmidei Chachamim. So the question is, does it have to be V'apikursim Shekafru B'Torah, or some Agoyres V'apikursim Vishakafru B'Torah? In other words, it's another category. That's how it is in many of the Rishonim with an extra vav here. V'apikursim Vishakafru B'Torah, and they deny Torah. In other words, they say Moshe Rabbeinu made. Rashi says Ha'oimnim Ein Torah Min Hashamayim. So you see from Rashi two categories. They say Torah was made up by a man named Moses Jefferson, or by Moshe Rabbeinu himself. V'shekafru b'tchias hamesim, they deny the very reality of tchias hamesim. V'shepershu medarchei tzibur, they detach themselves from Klal Yisrael. In other words, I'm not Jewish, I'm not part of you. V'shepershu medarchei tzibur, Rashi says, shepershu medarchei tzibur loy garsinon. Why? The hainu kolhani dela'el. It's already redundant. All the above are perishu medarchei tzibur. Somebody is kafir b'tchis hamesim who gives over the Jewish money to non-Jews. Talmidei Yeshay HaNoitzri, kafir b'tchis. They're already. It's haynuach. That is how you separate from the Klal Yisrael. You're not part of them. So Rashi says the haynu kolani delel v'hach masnisa b'seder olam. In fact, this brayse exists also in a text from the Tanoim called Seder Olam. V'hachi gersinon le'hasam. And over there's a girsa Shepirshu Medarchi Tzibur. Those Jews kegoin Haminim, V'Amasaides, V'Apikorsim. Medarchi Tzibur means Medarchi Yisrael. Tzibur doesn't mean a particular minyan. It means the drachim of the whole Jewish people. They completely don't see themselves as part of the people. Weiter, the next category, V'Shanosnu Chitisam Be'eretz.
I don't understand. The Masrim, what's the definition? They give over Jewish money to. I didn't understand.
To Ovdei Kechavim, yeah.
The Muslim, they tell on people, and then they go and take the money.
They tell them,
They
they're
tell on your
informers.
IRS,
Informers.
take the money.
I thought
B'yad Ovdei
he
Kechavim.
give over Jewish people to the Goyish authorities. And he speaks about the money.
No, that's the Chayre Kol Shekain. Obviously, somebody who gives over Jews b'yad Ovdei Kechavim. That's the Chiddush here is even more. Rashi says even Mum in Yisrael, which of course one may lead to the other. Perhaps because money is not just about money. They could be arrested, they could be tortured, they could be killed. It's Maisrim who give over Jews to b'yad Ovdei Kechavim. You want to know if it applies in America? Does it apply in America? It's probably not the same category exactly. I mean, I'm not condoning, I'm just saying prisons here are not exactly prisons of Ovdei Kechavim, etc. But
It doesn't matter, it's also...
fine, I'm just saying, I don't know if it's mamish the same exact like it was in ancient times. I don't know, I'm just saying, I don't think it's mamish the same. The concept you say. Also Rashi says Ovdei Kechavim. No, I'm talking about because, one of the issues with molestation, and this was, you're not allowed to tell the police because it's Mesira.
That's right.
Okay, good. So he was a roidif, exactly. It's not a regular situation.
And the Shchur permits it.
Yeah.
It's not the same about talking about your money and talking about you doing something wrong to people, to Jews. If I'm telling on you because you stole
It's
my
not just
money.
his money, you're saying. It's not just his money. Okay.
Fine. Means Jews. It doesn't mean the Christians.
Yeah, Talmidei Yeshanotzi were Jews, yeah.
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 It doesn't mean.
Yeah, it actually says, Hafchu Divrei Elokim Chaim L'Ra. They took the Torah, they did not take the Torah. They used Divrei Elokim Chaim, but they completely transformed it.
That followed him after.
No.
It doesn't go there.
Yeah. Fakert, according to some poskim, may not even be a problem. Right? Shituf.
These are the guys that sat next to you in shul.
And then
That you didn't know who they were.
Okay, weiter. V'shenosnu chitisam ba'aretz chayim. And those who cast fear, chitas, vayichitas alakim yavin bereishis vayishlach, is fear. They cast their fear ba'aretz chayim, in the land of life, meaning, the Gemarah is going to explain what this means, but the point is, Rashi says, l'kama mefarish. They cast fear on everybody. V'shechatu v'echtiyu es harabim. And those who didn't only sin, they made the entire Klal Yisrael. The majority sin. Kegon Yeravim ben Nevat v'chaverov. Like Yeravim ben Nevat and his colleagues, Yeravim ben Nevat became the king after Shlomo Melech passed away. They revolted against Shlomo son Rechavam, and he literally resurrected Avodah Zarah and Yisrael. The Gemara says in Sanhedrin he was one of the Gedolei Hadar, and it says in Pirkei Avos he's considered Chayto Machdas Harabim. All these Yordim leGehenim go down to Gehenim, v'nidoinim ba l'doire doires, and get judged there for generations and generations. Shenemar, the pasuk says in Yeshaya, v'yotzu v'ro b'figrei hanoshim ha'poishim bi. They can go out and see the corpses of the people who sinned against me, and the pasuk continues. I'll finish the pasuk. Kisaylatam loy motlom loy samos v'isham loy sichbe v'hoyu deiroin l'chol basa. The fire won't be extinguished. There will be deiroi, the deterioration for all flesh. So that's what he says. It continues l'doire doires. But the Gemara says very interestingly. We're going to see the next line. Gehenim kala, v'heim einon kala. The Gehenim is going to end, but they ultimately won't be nullified. In other words, they will outlast the Gehenim. There's one of the famous Mekabbalim, Rabbi Menachem Azariah Fanu, he has a sefer Asarim Amoros. So he says that this Gemara is similar to what it says in Parshas Ha'azinu, Chitzai Achala Bom. Hashem says, I will finish my arrows on them. So Chazal say, Rashi brings, Chitzai Kolim, Veheim Einam Kolim. I'm going to finish all my arrows, but they will not cease. In other words, they're going to outlive my arrows. So he learns it's a very positive thing. That's what he says in Asar Mamaris. The Gehenim will end, but Heim Einam Kolim. Ultimately, after that, they're going to have a tikkun also. Shenemar, V'tzur, that's how he teaches that it's a positive thing, because he could teach it in two ways. Yeah, Gehenim Kol, V'heim Einam Kol, it's not going to be so bad that it'll never ever end. He says no, V'heim Einam Kol, ultimately the Gehenim is going to end for them, but V'heim, their neshamas are going to be rectified. Generally, it's interesting. These are sharp Gemaras here. It's not. The Arizal writes in Lekutei Hashas, the Alshich brings in Parsha Shmini, the Emek HaMelech, that the klal is that all neshamas ultimately have a tikkun. All neshamas. Lo yidach mimenu nidach, the pasuk says in Shmuel, v'cheshem achshav b'didach mimenu nidach. The question is how long it takes, how difficult the process is, how challenging the process is. Even Yeravim ben Nevat v'chaveirav, that it says already in Sanhedrin, Kol Yisrael yesh lam chelik leilam haba, but there are those who don't, and he brings Yeravim ben Nevat. So it says in Yerushalmi and Kelayim, in Talmud Yerushalmi, Masechta Kelayim, that even Yeravim ben Nevat is going to have a tikkun. Yes, the Gemara Sanhedrin says, Dorsher Shumas Oimrim yesh lam chelik leilam haba. Yeah, Yerushalmi says that Yeravim ben Nevat, their bodies, his body was burnt physically, the body, and the schus of Eretz Yisrael, he's also going to have a tikkun, and have ultimately tchisa meisa. That's Yeravim ben Nevat. That's Yeravim ben Nevat. Listen, he was a tzatske. He was a character.
I mean, he was
no question.
Like Madrega.
Yeah.
That the Rebbe Shalom was telling him.
Is that true? Let's say.
So it's a pella because here the Gemara says he's going Yeravim ben Nevat v'chaveirav. Huh? What? No, it's a fascinating thing that it says clean Yerushalmi Kelim. Yeravim ben Nevat v'chaveirav are going to have a tikkun. The Yerushalmi says. I didn't throw it in. I'm quoting a Yerushalmi. You could look it up. Kelayim, I think, Perek Tes. He says the schus of Eretz Yisrael, the bodies are burnt. Tchiyas HaMeisa means, Ait says no Tchiyas HaMeisa. Tchiyas HaMeisa means the neshama together with the guf. Sometimes it's just a neshama, not the guf. Sometimes the neshama and another guf. But there's going to be Tchiyas HaMeisa for him. That's what Chazal say. That's what Yerushalmi says.
That's, let's say, in Hordus, also. He was not Jewish.
Right.
So,
what do you ask on Hordus? You can ask on Hitler, on Stalin, on Mengele, on Himmler, on Eichmann.
What current event?
This is a whole different Maisa. This is not Poisha. They're not Poisha U'Masaylam Begufa. Poisha U'Masaylam Begufa means they have Gilui Arayos. That's all.
It's like a mullet. It's like Haman.
It's unique souls of Loisachayakal. These are souls that are. It's beyond evil.
There's taiva and then there's evil.
It's right. There's taiva and even corruption, terrible corruption, and and horrible things that people do. I'm not talking b'shoig. We're talking b'mezid. We're talking about mezid. We're not talking about here in Yonim b'shoigim. Yeravim ben Nevat was he was chayta machdas. I mean, he destroyed what happened over there in Eretz Yisrael.
The Eretz Yisrael and the Neshamas are combined. Everyone has a chelik. It says Mamela. It's Eretz Yisrael, which means that since the Yisrael has to be whole, the Neshamas also have to be.
Yeah. The Sefer Emek HaMelech from the Talmidim of the Arizal, so he says it's not possible that a neshama shouldn't have a tikkun. He says it's a chelik elakamimal. The Ramban also says this in Shar HaGemul. Ramban says it already. Efshe that a neshama should be completely lost. There's no such a thing. He says it can't be. A neshama can't be lost be'etzem. It has to sometimes go through tremendous, processes in order to be cleansed. Just like you have in this world, you have sometimes a person gets so damaged, abused, or they abuse themselves so badly. It's a long process. Sometimes more than 12 months, as we know, to get out all the dysfunction. But the Nakud is, you want to bring back the neshama to its true core. Ramban says in Sharigmul, it's impossible that a neshama should be completely lost. A neshama should be completely lost. But the Emek HaMelech says that since it's chelik elakami mal, so you have there, and the kol hanayfeach, the vayipach ba'apav. So the Zohar brings man de nafach mitoiche nafach. The Ramban brings it in Bereshis. So therefore you have there, so to speak, in Yonim, you have a lakus over there, and it's Neitzam Atoy, so therefore every neshama ultimately has a tikkun. The pella is that Yeravim ben Nevat and these things, you read one Gemara, but another place it says even he has a tikkun. So Gehenim Kol V'Heimenim Kolin, the Rameh Panu writes that they will outlive Gehenim also. The Kol Shenema, the pasuk in Tehillim, V'Tzuram Levalois Sha'oil, and the pasuk continues Mizvul Loy. So the Gemara teaches what's pshat. V'tzuram levalos sha'oil mizvuloi. Tzuram means their tzura, which is like their neshama. Their tzura refers to neshama. Levalos sha'oil means they will cause the sha'oil is Gehenna. They will cause the sha'oil to deteriorate. In other words, the Gehenna will end, but they won't end. Levalos sha'oil, levalos comes from the word bala, like a garment is bala. It decomposes, it rots. It fashimot. It says v'tzuram levalos sha'oil. Their tzura will be mavala. They will deteriorate Gehenna. In other words, the Gehenna will end up on them, and it will be gone. The Kol Kach Lama. Why is this? Mipnei. By the way, I once saw, why is Gehenna called Sha'oil? It's called Sha'oil Tachtis, right? So I once saw a vart in that Sha'oil comes from the word Sha'ol, which means borrowed. Borrowed. So what does it mean to live a life of Gehenna? Sometimes even in this world, a person who lives a borrowed life. A borrowed life means it's not authentic. You don't live your own life. You borrow your life from somebody else. Why is it? Because tachtas. Because you feel you're so low that you have to borrow other people's lives in order to live. Because you're so worthless, you're so meaningless. I have to borrow your life in order to have a life because I'm tachtas. So you have that concept that the person doesn't recognize their own beauty, their own infinity, their own alakus, their own value, their own toiv. They're borrowing somebody else's life. And that's, what? Sha'ol Tachtis, it's Boris. Oh, the concept.
The concept is very...
Yeah, somebody once said we're all born originals, most of us die as copies. The Kol Kach Lama, why is this? Mipnei shepashtu yedeim b'zvul. Because they extended their hands against Zvul. Zvul is always a term used for the Beis HaMikdash. Shenemar, the Pasuk says, V'tzuram levalas sha'ol mizvuloi. Because of the Zvul. What's Zvul? The Ein Zvul el Beis HaMikdash. Shenemar, when Shlomo finishes building the Beis HaMikdash, he says in Melachim, Banoi vanisi beis Zvul lach. The word Zvul means a home. When when Leah gives birth to Zvulun, she names Zvulun, she says, Rashi says, Me'ata yehei ike dirasai, right? Yaakov is now going to move in with me. Because I brought him so many children, 6 children. After she gives birth to Zvulun, he's now going to live with me. So Zvul is the place where you live. V'aleim, on this group, Ohr Chaim, Chana says, Vayte Chana, Hashem yechatu merivav. Those who fight, Merivav, are the enemies of the Rebbeinu Shalom. Yechatu will be broken. Merivav is they destroy the Zvul, they destroy the Beis HaMikdash. Amar Rabbi Yitzchak bar Rabbi Nufneim, and their faces, Doimen l'shulei gdeira, are compared l'shulei gdeira. L'shulei gdeira means the bottom of a pot. The bottom of a pot, of course, is on the fire, so it gets darkened. In other words, their panim has to also go through this transformation. Their entire self needs the cleansing of the fire in order to get out all the filth. Amar Rava says, Ve'inu mishapirei shapirei de bnei mechuzah. These people were the best. Rava came from a place called Mechuzah. So Rava says these were the people who mishapirei de shapirei. They were the most spoiled and rotten, not rotten, gluttonous of bnei mechuzah. Rashi says, Mu'unogim u'shmeinim hayu. They were very fat, and they always made sure that they got their way with pleasure. U'mikaryin b'nei Gehenna. And they're called the b'nei Gehenna. Rashi says, Kach yikru lahem. That's what they're going to be called.
He was the mother Asher there?
Shapira, the b'nei mechuz. Zog the Gemarah weiter, Omar Mar, we just learned by Silalayim, Rav Chesed, Mate Klapi Chesed. He always bends to Chesed, so the Beinim don't go to Gehenna. You brought before a pasuk in Zechariah that I will bring a third in fire and refine them like we refine silver and gold, and then they will call out in my name and I will respond, which was the proof of Beit Shammai that there's a third group. And Beis Hillel says there's no third group, and for the Gemara, Hasem b'Paishi Yisrael b'Gufan. According to Beis Hillel, that's a unique category. It's Paishi Yisrael b'Gufan. So the Gemara, Paishi Yisrael b'Gufan. Didn't you say before the Paishi Yisrael b'Gufan, it seems like don't have a takana? We mean this type of takana that you're saying here. You're saying the third group goes down and comes right up. But you said Paishi Yisrael b'Gufan after being in him 12 months, and the guf doesn't come back, and the neshama has to be transformed. Here it doesn't say that. Here it says I bring them in the fire and they become refined. It's like silver and gold. What happens with silver? You don't destroy silver. You refine silver, right? You bring the silver into the fire and you refine it. You refine it. You know, anybody here knows about silver refinery? Huh? How does the person who refines silver know that it's refined fully? You know how? When he sees his reflection in the silver. when he sees his own reflection, when the silver.
No, at the back. Step.
In China, they do it for you, even if it's.
Huh?
You order from China, they ask
The
you,
silver becomes so refined, so pure. I look at
Yeah.
it, and I see my reflection in it. Yeah. Okay, so that's pshat in the pasuk. It says that the soul is going to be refined like silver. Hu yikra b'shmi v'ni'enai. When I look at him, I see my reflection. I see that when I look at him, I see my reflection.
polished in there.
Yeah, that's the pshat. So that's a whole different vart. It's not that the body doesn't stand up and the neshama becomes ashes. So you just said Parshas Yisrael Begufan, it's a whole different takana. So the Gemarah ki leslu takana. When we said there was no takana like this, it's b'roiv avoinus. It means that the majority of their life is sins plus their Parshas Yisrael Begufan. Hachet mechza avoinus or mechza zachias ve'izbu nami oven the Parshas Yisrael Begufan. When we say Beis Hillel says that there's a shlishis ba'eish, it's talking about beinin. Elamai, they have Parshas Yisrael Begufan in their avoinus. So if it would stand be beinin, it would be Rav Chesed. Since it's Parshas Yisrael Begufan, they go through the process of refining in the fire. Lo sagile de la ve'vesis ashlishis ba'eish.
Shloi Begufan means in yonim of emunah, of.
He's going to say, the Gemara is going to say what Parshas Yisrael Begufan. So when you have Parshas Yisrael Begufan, lo sagile de la ve'vesis ashlishis ba'eish. It's not enough. The Hevesi, it's lesagile de la Hevesi hashlishas beish. It's not enough for the oven of Parshas Yisrael Begufan that he should be in a schapa without going down to Gehenna. He needs that. But v'im lav Rav Chesed mata klape Chesed. So you have three categories. You have the categories where you said lesle takanta Parshas Yisrael Begufan. That's unique. That has to be rubam avoinus. Then it's a much more difficult tikkun. The guf burns and the neshama becomes ashes and goes under the feet of the tzaddik. You have the other extreme, the Beinani. Rabbi Silsa B'chal doesn't go to Gehenna. Rav Chesed. Even though Beis Shammai says yeah. And then you have Beinani, Mechza Zachis, Mechza Avoinus, plus Parshas Yisrael Begufan. Then there's a Beisis Hashlishis Beish. That's what he says. Okay. Let's see Taisvis. Ki leslu takana b'roiv avoinus. When you said there was no takana, the guf is kala, it's only if rubay avoinus. Mamish rubay avoinus. Okay, like Rashi says on the first Rashi, Hamrit leslu takanta, you said the nasin efer, the neshama has to become ashes. V'hachi, you say v'tziraftin kitzroifes hakesef. Sheyimruku yisurein es avoinam, their sins will become cleansed through the yisurim. Through the pain of Gehenna, it's a whole different experience. So he says Eirech Haram, it's a different experience. We're talking about two different categories. Zok Taisvis. You see Taisvis. Ki leslut takana b'roiv avoinus. In other words, v'izbu avoin the Parshas Yisrael Begufan. Plus they have Parshas Yisrael Begufan. Not stam roiv avoinus. You would think the Gemara says, if they have roiv avoinus, they don't have a takana. He says, no. Plus, roiv plus. I we learned before, Beis Shammai said there's three groups. And the Rishayim that have Rubam Avoinus, even though they're not Parshas Yisrael Begufan, they go straight to Gehenna. So l'chayda this contradicts Taisvis. Taisvis says that what? If you have roiv avoinus and not Parshas Yisrael Begufan, yeah, you don't just say they go l'diroy in oilam. You don't say that. With Parshas Yisrael Begufan, then you have to have this. But the Gemara said before, they go l'diroy in oilam. So Taisvis says, no, it doesn't mean they don't have a takana. Afal gav diksiv bikra l'diroy in oilam. Even though Beis Shammai brought the pasuk, Rabbi miyesheni ad masafor yakitzu, and these are going to go l'chay oilam, and these are going to go l'cheper l'diroy in oilam. So it means they never have a takana. There's no Parshas Yisrael Begufan. He says, the loy shelo yehelem takana ela nidoinim shnei maser chodesh v'oilam. Oilam doesn't mean eternity. Oilam means that they judge for 12 months in Gehenna and then they go up. So the Deroy and Oilam only means 12 months, not forever. And I guess the Marsha says, because it doesn't mean that Oilam could mean forever, Oilam could mean for the world. They'll be embarrassed for the world, but not that they're going to be there forever. So Taisva says if there's no Parshas Yisrael Begufan, it's just Gehenna. If there's Roiva Avoinus and Parshas Yisrael Begufan, then there's the process that we spoke about, Gufam Kala, and the Neshama is burnt into ashes and goes under the feet of Tzadikim, which according to many is also a tikkun, but a difficult tikkun. Very important side here to understand these Gemaras. It's Shrekedik Gemaras. So they're often taught in a wrong way. What do I mean they're taught in a wrong way? It's almost like a factory where neshamas come and says, you go here, you go there, you go there, with all the fires and everything. But really a person has to understand it, and that's what Basil is trying to say, V'rav chesed, mata klapi chesed, that you're dealing here with somebody who loves the neshamas and loves them unconditionally. But just like you have you have laundry, yeah? You have clothes, and the clothes become old, and they become smelly, and they become dirty and filthy. You put them in a washing machine, and the water is hot, and you put chemicals, and you put soap, and they're spinning around hundreds of times, thousands of times, and the socks, or the undershirt, or the shirt will turn to you and say, well, you hate me so much, what are you doing? You say, no, on the contrary. When I bought you, you were so beautiful and soft and clean, and I want to bring you I want to bring you back to that softness and cleanliness, so that's why I'm doing it. It's not a relationship based on trying to get back at you and take revenge. It's in order for you to be able to reach your ultimate true beauty and true potential. The same is true with a neshama. Neshama is a chelik al-kamimal, and neshama is amazing, and neshama is sacred. All this is the day that the neshama should be able to experience its true glory. We talk about pain, we talk about fire. That's why he gives the mashal of refining silver. Is that a painful process? Yeah, I mean, for the silver, it's going through fire. But what's the purpose? That your image should be reflected in the silver. That we should be able to see in you who you really are. And who are you really? You're really a reflection of Hashem. That's pshat, refining the silver. So that's why, when you read different svarim on these Inyan, you see that Arizal said, and a lot of say, every neshama has a tikkun. The shaila is vu, vaz, viven. There's no, lo yidach b'menu nidach is a klal. You see here, even the biggest, the worst category, roiv avoinus, and Pershi Yisrael begufon. The Rambam in Panu says, Gehenim kala v'heimenim kala. Gehenim kala v'heimenim kala. Shtar zacha, Yiddish and neshama is forever, ever lost for eternal damnation. Even though some people teach it, it's not the emes.
What about the Gentile evil people that like we spoke before?
You mean like Hitler and these people? That's a different category. You don't say it on their neshama's chelik al-kalim. You're not going to say on Hitler's neshama chelik al-kalim.
So what is their chiyas? What?
They have a nefesh, like a behema has a nefesh. A molek, you say, like sechaya kol neshama.
What is the concept of pain here when there is no body?
I don't think pain here means, people think it's physical pain.
What is the concept?
It's
Embarrassment?
No, I don't think that. Let's say somebody goes to therapy, right? For somebody that's sitting in them, they have an issue with their father, with their mother, with their teacher, with their rebbe, with their wife. And you have to spit up things that you buried 42 years ago. What does it feel like?
Biggest pain.
Huh?
Biggest pain, more the pain than
It's
the actual thing.
It's even the more pain than original pain, right? Why is it so painful? Because you sometimes invested your whole life in repressing it, and it has to come up. There's a lot of tears, but it's good pain. What do I mean? It's good pain. It's taking out a splinter, hurts. It's taking out an infection. Afterwards, the person is cleansed. It's not pain because we want to destroy the person. The pain is the pain is inevitable result of the fact that I have to kvetch out and squeeze out all the toxicity and filth in me. So when you speak about Yisuri Gehenim, Rashi says here Yisurim, it's like the pain of literal therapy. That's the process. Gehenim is therapy.
I don't know if it's correct, there is a punishment called kafar keva.
Yeah.
And it was explained to me that the neshama is put into a imagined world where it lives it up, everything is, does all the wrong things. And then it's thrown into the world of truth and sees really how bad it is to do. And it's a tremendous...
Well, the word kafakela means a slingshot.
Yeah.
So they explain to them in yeshiva that you take the neshama, you put it in a spoon, and you sling it to the other side of the world, and they make it like a ping pong. The neshama becomes like a ping pong or tennis. That's what they taught them, right? Which Aveda did you get this for? Which Aveda would you get kafakela from? I'm just wondering.
Depends what mood the Rebbe was that day.
Every day the
Well,
Rabbi.
explain to me that the Neshama imagines that everything
Right.
is just beautiful and living it up with
Yeah.
all the bad things, and then he's thrown
Yeah.
into the world of truth,
Yeah,
and it sees that
yeah.
it's
It's
just
a Gemara in
everything.
Shabbos. Kafakel is a Gemara in Shabbos. Koile
There is
noisim
a
is soif
tremendous
elamativ.
embarrassment.
Yeah, but the truth is like this. All these things are meshalim. They're not. You don't have slingshots in Olam Haba. And you don't do this to neshama. God is not a sadist, barbaric creator who says, okay, this guy, I got him, I'm now going to torture him, and taten on him, and get him shmeißen, to the point that he's going to learn not to start up with me. You know what I mean? You're not dealing here with somebody who's full of egos and insecurities, and is busy taking revenge. Even Ladas Beishamai. Even Ladas Beishamai. Beishamai holds Midas HaGvura, yeah, not Midas HaChesed. But you're not dealing here with sadistic, barbaric revenge. Kol Shekem Beis Hillel, who says, Behold, Hanhag with Rav Chesed. These are all Meshalim for different types, forgive my word, for different types of therapies that different souls and bodies need in order to be able to restore themselves to their own glory. It's different. So take, for example, Kafakela. What's the idea of Kafakela? Kafakela means a person is in a particular world. They're comfortable in that world. Yeah, they get transported into a whole other world. What happens in the process of when you're koleya something, when you sling it? Yeah, as it flies to the other side, yeah, and back and back and back, it could shake off a lot which is on it because it goes back and forth. So what does it mean? It means that the person has to be taken out from the world they're in, and they have to be brought back into that world that they tried to escape from. Yeah? Let's say a couple really is not getting along. They're having a lot of issues. They're married, 25 years. And they have to be brought back. So, everyone is more or less comfortable. They learned how to live and survive. And you have to be brought back to that first year, or that first month, or that first day, or that first 5 years. And go through that process in order to spit it out. That's a very intense process. And then you come back here and you go back there. It's not an easy thing. But what does it accomplish? It accomplishes that all the negativity and all the fear and the loneliness and the tears and the depression could ultimately, the sadness can emerge, the loneliness can get spit out. So that's the idea. So, when we speak about Gehenna, we're not dealing with somebody who hates us. There's nothing to be afraid of. You're not dealing with somebody who wants to destroy you. It's someone who loves you as much as you love yourself, if not more, who says, come, let me invite you to the process that will help you become who you really are. That's the process.
You have to do these things on this world and
Yes.
this lifetime before that
Yes.
happens.
Why does the Gemara talk about it? You'll find out then. The pshat is, because in this world we could do it all. When you do it in this world, it's a sach geschmacker. It's always geschmacker. And verkehrt, in this world, transformation is very easy. In the other world, you can't transform yourself. Now you have to go through the cleansing. Here, I could literally transform myself. That's the uniqueness of this world. The Balatanya, the Alter Rebbe writes in Lekutei Torah in Parshas Pinchas, that the Olam Haba in Gan Eden is based on Mamala Kalalman. Mamala Kalalman, everything has its place. If I'm a tzaddik, I'm a tzaddik. If I'm a Rosh, I'm a Rosh. I am who I am. Now I have to deal with it. It says, in this world is rooted in Sevav Kalalman. Sevav Kalalman, there's no Maila and Mata. So you say, I'm on the bottom. You're not on the bottom. In one moment, you could be on the top. Complete transformation is possible. That's why tshuva is in this world. The world is rooted in a space where there's no such a thing, this is who I am. I'm not. This is who I think I am. Valeya invited, the Braisa said, Aleya and Amar David, on these beinim, it says, Ahavtiki Yishma Hashem. Dorash Rava, Maidik Siv, Ahavtiki Yishma Hashem, es Koili Tachanunai. Amr Knesset Yisrael of Nekadosh Baruch Hu. Jewish people say before Hashem, Riboyne Shaloylam, Ema Sayana Yahuva Lefanach, Bezman Shat Hashemei Kol Tachanunai.
Question answer.
Yeah. Ema Sayana Yahuva Lefanach. When am I loved before you? Ahavti. When do you love me? When I see it, Bisman Shat Hashemei Kol Tachanunai. As you listen to the voice of my beseeching, that shows me the Ava. Amosai, Ahaftani, the ava to me. So ahafti is ahavasi. When do I see the love? Kshat shemei kol tachanone. Taloisi v'li Yeshua. Afal pi shadalani min mitzvahs. Even though I'm poor from mitzvahs, like the Beinanim. Li na loishia. Me, it's beautiful to help. In other words, ahafti, you love me, and I see it when you listen to me. Even though I'm dal li na loishia, you help me, and you're mate klape schos. Li na loishia. Rashi says, Dalani ba mitzvahs, Beinanim shein zechi yasein machri and little islam beschusam. They don't have enough. So b'liya hishia lahatis klape chesed. So the Gemarah, Poishi Yisrael begufon my niyo. What are Poishi Yisrael begufon? What do we mean? This unique category of Poishi Yisrael begufon that we spoke about, our rep is different. So he says, Amarav, it means karkafta the loy manach tefillin. Karkafta means a head that never put on tefillin. Karkafta the loy manach tefillin. Poishim Yisrael begufon, Amarav ba'aveira. By Poishim Yisrael ba'aveira means promiscuity in arayis, meaning adultery, which is of course an isur also for bnei noyach. One of the campaigns of the Lubavitcher Rebbe was mitzvah tefillin, to put tefillin on Yidden. So once there was somebody, a big Rav, who attacked it very, very heavily. You go and you take a secular Jew and you put him on tefillin. Some of you heard as children probably. You take a goy and you put on tefillin on a goy. What's it worth? So he once spoke about it. He says a Gemarah in Rosh Hashanah that a karkafta the loy manach tefillin has a whole different category. He says you take tefillin, you put it on a yid once, and he says Shema Yisrael. You took him out forever from the category of Poishi Yisrael begufon. Who can understand the value of it? He says, how can you underestimate it? Even if he's never, ever, ever going to see a pair of tefillin again. He says, Kol shekem v'kol Chaim, that hundreds of them and thousands of them, as a result of that, their Yiddishkeit was triggered. But he says, even if not, you took him out of the category of karkafta the loy manach tefillin. It's a whole different category in halacha. Of course, we also have to understand, it's a very important yesod about our generation. The Rambam says that whenever we speak about different people, it's talking about people who know, and they say, I'm not putting on tefillin ever. When you have a generation that's basically called tinoikus shenishbu l'beina akum, it's like if a first child was kidnapped as a baby and never visited his father, and you're going to say he's a Poishi Yisrael begufi because he never visited his father. He doesn't even know who his father is. How's he supposed to know his father? He was kidnapped. So that's a whole different category in halacha b'chlal we have to understand. The Chazon Ish brings it in Yeridea that in our generation, a lot of the halachas that were said don't apply because most of them are literally tinokus shenishbu. You're dealing without people without any type of real education. And as we know today, you have people who officially have an education, but they also didn't have an education. I don't know if they're called Poishi Yisrael because they don't know. They don't know. If they're taught wrong things, so that's also not an education. So that's a pshat. That's the gather here. Zog the Gemarah. V'shanosnu chitim be'eretz chayim. We said one of the categories of those who are yored legehenim l'doyde doydes are what? If they cast their fear on others. Amar Reb Chizda is a parnas hamatil eme yiseda la tzibur shaloi l'shem shamayim. This is an interesting idea. A parnas, a leader, who casts tremendous fear on the community, and it's not for the sake of heaven, it's partially for the sake of his power. Sometimes you have leaders in communities, they drive fear into everybody, they say it's all for Hashem, I represent Hashem. He says, these are people that are yored legehenim l'doyde doydes. Amy Yisera la tzibur shaloi l'shem shamayim. They're Pashut control freaks. Huh?
So talking about the Messiah?
No, he's talking about Jews. He's quoting the Braisa before. You remember the Braisa before that spoke about Minim and Messiah and Moisrim and Apikursim? Yeah, that I yored the Gehenim Kolav, Einam Kolam. One of the categories was that they cast their fear. Ohr Chaim says a Yid gets up, he becomes a... Huh? Amy Yisera.
In the home also.
A home, yeah.
Your father who
Yeah, tremendous fear, yeah. Tremendous fear.
Come out from him,
Yeah.
It's a good bumper sticker.
Yeah. Amr Rabbi Yehuda Amar Rav, Kol Parnas Hamatel Emi Yisera Al Tzibur Shaloi L'Shem Shamayim In Eroya Ben Talmud Chacham. Any leader, even if he's a scholar, who casts this type of fear on the tzibur, you will see it in his children. His children are going to run away, and it's not a punishment like everything else. It happens naturally. Because the child grew up in the house, even though he saw all this tzitkus, it was all a lie, it was fake. The guy was just looking for his power. Shenemar. L'chein, what happens here is, Eoiv, the Pasuk says Eoiv, he lost a lot. He lost his fortune, his children, he suffered a lot. So one of his friends came and gave him Musar. And he said, you brought fear in a lot of people. L'chein yireu anoshim lo yira kol chachmei lev. Because you cast fear, people were afraid of you, so you're not going to see lo yira kol chachmei lev, you're not going to see chachmei lev, meaning you're not going to have descendants Talmidei Chacham. Beis Hillel loimrim weiter, we learned Beis Hillel says, v'rav chesed mate klapi chesed. Zog the Gemarah, heichi yavid. What's pshat Hashem is mate klapi chesed? What, you have a scale, what does it mean? Like, how does it work? Zog the Rabbi Lazar oimer, koivshay. Koivshay means, like you, how does he touch koivshay? Rabbi Litzman, he presses on it, yeah? He presses on it. Like you have a scale and you put your fist on it, you put your elbow on it, and you push it down. Literally, koivish. We have those who say the Mishnah is koivish afilu chavile kanim. You have a mikveh, and the water is too shallow. You have enough water, but it's too shallow. So koivish, you could take reeds and sticks, and you koivish it. You press it in the water should go up. So literally, he takes it yichbash of an asenu. He presses down the scale. He presses down the scale of chesed. So yichbash doesn't mean he presses down avoinus. He presses down the mitzvahs that the avoinus should, that the mitzvahs should prevail. That's yichbash. Rashi says, koivish es kafam es nayim shel schus umachriin es avoinus. He presses down the scale and it overrides the avoinus. Yichbash of an asenu yichru boy. They become more powerful than the avoinus. Rabbi Yosef Bechanina Amar no. Noisei. Noisei means he picks up one of the sins, so Mela becomes lighter. Shenemar Noisei of involved al pasha. It's like one pshat is he presses on the mitzvah so it goes down that side, and one is he picks up, he takes away Noisei of involved al pasha. He lifts up. Rashi says Magbia kaf miznayim shalovin. He picks up the scale of oven, but Mela the mitzvahs become heavier. That's pshat. Noisei oven. A whole different word. Either koivish or noisei. Both hapsukim, yeah. I believe the Kedushas Levi says that it's two different mahalchim and tshuva. You have a notzias of koivish. Koivish means he focuses on the positive. He focuses on the mitzvahs. And then there's something even deeper, noisei oven. Noisei oven means he doesn't have to press down the mitzvahs or even press down the avoinus. Noisei means he lifts them up. He lifts them up. Every aveda, if you lift it up to its ultimate source, it can be transformed into kedusha. Ein hadinim nimtakim ela b'sharshim. Every aveda, if you really noisei it, if you pick it up, the energy and its source is really kedusha. So there's koivish oven, and then there's noisei oven. He lifts it up like zdainas nasa like azachias. Because every distortion begins in holiness. Ein hadinim nimtakim ela b'sharshim. Tana the Rabbi Shmuel said, Mavid Rishin. He takes away one by one. In other words, the first sin that comes in, he takes away. So therefore, if it's ever half, the Zachias win, V'cheni Amida, and that's the Midah of Rav Chesed. Amar Rava, V'oven Atzmai Eine Nimchik. But even though he removes it, it doesn't get completely erased. Why? The Ikeru Ba'avoinus, if there's going to be a majority of sins, Machshev Ba'adayu. Ultimately, he will consider this one also. It's not that he completely removes it. If it's mechza, you always win. But if it's going to be ruboy, this is also going to be counted. Rava Amar Rava says, Kol ha'mavir al midoisav ma'avirin lo al pshav. Kol pshav. You know what ma'avir al midoisav means? How does he teach? Rabbi Litzman. Kol ha'mavir al midoisav. Somebody who forgoes his emotions. That's what he says? Remember those words? Kol ha'mavir al midoisav. No, before that.
Anyone relinquishes his measures of retribution.
Somebody relinquishes his measures of retribution. What's pshat? So Rashi says what? Hamavid al midosav she'ena medaktik limdoid midel mitzari moisai. Umaniach midosav v'hoylech loy. Sometimes somebody causes you pain, and you say, measure for measure. I will destroy you like you're trying to destroy me. Rashi says sometimes you just let things go. It's called letting it go. Letting go. See, the word letting go is nishta chiddush from Heintiker psychologists. Manich v'hoylech loy. Hoylech loy means you go away. K'mo ein ma'avirin ala mitzvahs. You don't pass on mitzvahs. Ein ma'avirin ala oichlin. What does it mean? Manichan v'hoylech loy. What's ma'avirin ala mitzvahs? You let it go. You don't let a mitzvah go. Here, it's in a good way. Ma'avir al midos. If you let your midas go, you're raging, you're burning, I'm going to get them back, I'll destroy them. So the Rava says, Hashem takes away all his sins. Ma'avir al midos, ma'avir al apshav. Of course, ma'avir al midos doesn't mean if a person is dangerous. If a person is dangerous, and he could harm other people, then to be ma'avir al midos, you become part of it, you become an assistance to criminal activity. Ma'avir al midos doesn't mean a guy is a molester, or he's causing untold harm to people, and you say, I'm going to be Ma'avid al-Medoisav. What do you mean Ma'avid al-Medoisav? The guy's a roidif, he's killing people. You don't say Ma'avid al-Medoisav means, sometimes, we carry grudges for years against people, and you have to learn how to let go. Sometimes, technically, you may be right. The person did this, the person did that. You have to be able to let go. Ma'avirin le'al pshav shenemar noisei oven v'ovid al-pesha. So he teaches, l'mi noisei oven, l'mi shovid al-pesha. He teaches, to whom does Hashem lift up the sins and remove them? To somebody who's Ovid al Pesha. He overlooks the pshayim, the sins that were done against him. Rashi says, Ma'avirin le'al pshav, ein midas hadin midakdekes acharein ala manachton v'hoylechas. Kavayachal midas hadin is not medayik. He says, okay, let's go. You let go, I let go. We create the energy around us. So if you live in a world where you let go of things, so Midas Hadin says, okay, with this person we let things go. That's the style. We let things go. So the Gemarah Rabbi Huda b'nei Rabbi Yeshua chalash. Rabbi Huda, the son of Rabbi Yeshua, became sick. All Rav Papa l'shayula beis. So Rav Papa went in to ask him how he is. Chazi de chalash le'alma. He saw that he's about to die. The whole world is chalash le'alma. The whole world is going to leave. Amalahu, Rav Papa says to his family, to Rav Huda's family, Tzvisu le zvadata. Prepare for him food for the journey. Now this is very strange. Rashi says, Heichinu lo yitzeda l'derech. Somebody's traveling, on a trip to Los Angeles, you prepare a tuna sandwich. Rashi says, Ma yitzeda samesim tachrichin. He needs tachrichin. Prepare tzeda l'derech. Zvadata, tzeda food for the way. L'soif itvach. He never died. He came back. Itvach means he came back to life. He became healthy. So if Papa comes into his house, sees he's about to die, he says, Chevra tachrichem. It's time to call the Chevra Kadisha. Yeah, but the guy came back to life. Buna came back to life. So he says, have a michsif Rav Papa l'michziyeh. Rav Papa was embarrassed to look at him, to see him, because, he already predicted his death, and he said, go bring him tachrichem. It was embarrassing.
So he said it in his presence.
In his presence, yeah. He said in his presence. Omar le, sort of Huna meets Rav Papa, and Papa is embarrassed. So he tells Rav Papa, no, Hachi Hava, you were right. I was supposed to die. V'amalu HaKadosh Baruch Hu, I was supposed to die. It was like a near-death experience. I was there. You were right. But then, when I showed up, Hashem said to the Bezdin Shalmaila, since Reb Huna is not a person who's noikim v'noiter, he doesn't stand by his words in a negative way. In other words, he does not exact payment and punishment from every person. He lets things go, so therefore loy tekumu b'hadei. You also let things go. Shenemar noisei oven v'oived al pasha, lemi noisei oven, la'oived al pasha. So this actually happened to him. Rashi says, Hachi hava misanikna sala. You were right. Loy mukim b'mila einay maimed al midoisav. Reb Huna is not a person who stands firm on every emotion to punish people the way they did something to him. Loy sakumu ba'adei, loy sedaktiku acharav. Don't be medaktik after him. So even though there was already a penalty of misa, he could come back. That's why I came back. So he was already on the other side, but this is what Hashem said. Loy sedaktiku acharav. Don't be medayak after.
From reading, I get the impression in
Yeah.
Russia there were lots of informers.
Yes.
They really caused tremendous damage.
Yeah, yeah.
And is this the explanation why I was told in Lubavitch they would not break these people's bones and kill them?
Break whose bones?
They wouldn't go after these people.
Which people? The Moisrim?
Yes, I got the impression that there was a...
There were Moisrim, I know. My Zayda was arrested from a Mossar. Listen, the Soviets tortured people. They arrested you, they arrested somebody, they tortured, and the main thing was to give out names. And then they would do other arrests. So there were people who would come to shul. Sometimes they had long beards. They looked like real Hasidim, but they were Moisrim. They were Moisrim. It was a big Nisayan. And a lot of people were killed as a result of them. My grandfather told me, my grandfather was sent to prison and tortured badly because of one of these Moisrim.
Can they be judged the same way and just...
Listen, they were tortured, but Lepoil, they're right for it could be they felt they had no choice. You had to have unbelievable strength in Soviet Russia.
Yeah, but you couldn't do that.
They would threaten their families and torture them. And how many people, not everybody can hold up. But there was a Moser, I believe, my father told me there was a Moser, they drowned him in the mikveh. They had no choice.
In Russia?
Yeah.
Just for that you could get killed, no?
Nobody knew. They drowned him in the mikveh. They had no choice. A lot of people died because of him. There were Moserim like that. And in later years, I heard from a lot of people who grew up in the Soviet Union. There were people in shul. He davened, but he was a Moser. He davened and he learned, and he was an inspiring man. You're not allowed to say anything in front of him. Nothing. You don't exist. They knew about certain people. They work for the KGB. They work for the secret police. They knew about people. Moserim. You don't say a word. I mean, imagine you're in shul. People are schmoozing. When he's in shul, boom. And you never knew who the Moser was. It wasn't so easy always to figure it out. But in Russia, this was a very common phenomenon.
So whenever I was there was no shmusing.
Huh?
Whenever I was there was no shmusing there.
No, it was very difficult. Listen, it wasn't...
I have two comments on the Shia this morning. First one about the silver. I mentioned it a few times. Silver happens to be the most reflective surface in the world. There's nothing that reflects more than that. So
Wow.
the fact that that's chosen
Silver is the most reflective surface in the world.
That's why I see in advertising, when you walk down the aisle in the shampoos, they have people who, their job is they color the caps with silver, chrome or something, a plastic that looks like silver, so it's reflective, because that's going to draw the eye more than anything. The second thing about the tefillin campaign of the Rebbe. So when I was I was born in Crown Heights, but totally secular. When I was in my early 20s, mid-20s maybe, I was walking down the street in Manhattan with my wife, and there was a mitzvah tank there, and this was 40 years ago, and the guy says, you want to put on tefillin? I had never seen, I once saw tefillin once. It was in a barrel. I was opening a barrel, going through some stuff. I didn't know what it was. So I said, of course, I wanted to put it on, I didn't know what it was. And that was, I don't know, I imagine that was the turning point in my wife and I becoming from. I don't know, because what do you know? But before that, for sure not. And after that, yes, so.
Wow. Yeah.
So whenever I heard something about when I was put on tefillin on a guy, and something in Curious Joel, and the superintendent of the schools, and someone said, do that, did he wash first? And I didn't know any of the answers. I said, the Rebbe said he should do it. I don't know. What do I know? Maybe you're right. But he put it on. He said Shema. He wouldn't let me read it. He read it word Shema, word by word. First paragraph.
I went to be Menachem Avel Yid a few days ago. When was it? Thursday. I went in Crown Heights. friend of mine lost a brother, and so I went to Menachem Avil. So there was sitting there a Rav from Florida, a Chabadnik, a Shliach in Florida. His name is Rabbi Kanakov, and he was sitting there.
Satellite Beach.
Where NASA is, with NASA,
Satellite Beach.
Satellite Beach. Yeah,
Space Coast.
yeah. Rabbi Kanakov. So he was sitting there, and he says to me, he was talking. So he said that was once he got a call from a Yid that his father is dying, and he should please come over. And it has to be right now. In the community, he didn't know the person. The problem is that the drive there was a very far drive, and there was only like an hour left to Shabbos. So he didn't know what to do. But the Jew was begging him. So he didn't want to go, but he went. He goes, and he goes into the room of the person. He's sitting in his room, and the old man is sitting on a chair. He's like 91 years old or so, and two nurses are holding both of his hands, and you could see that he's
On the way out.
yeah, he was very, very sick. His son was there, and his son tells him that it looks to me that my father is simply frightened to die. The reason he's not dying is he's simply scared to die. He's just scared to do it. He's scared to die. That's what he tells him. So Kanakov, is mamish on his way out, barely breathing. He turns to the Yid, he says, "You want to put on tefillin?" Did he ever put on tefillin before? Never. He never put on tefillin, never had a bar mitzvah. So he put on tefillin. He put on tefillin on him. And he said with him Shema. And he said word after word. The whole Shema. He finished. And Rekanakov held his hand and said, "Listen, I'm a shliach of Hashem. I'm here doing God's work. So me holding your hand is like God holding your hand. Because I represent God. And I want you to know that Hashem is now holding your hand and saying, come with me and I'll bring you exactly where you have to go. Don't worry about it." Like a mother taking a child and putting the child in the place where the child has to rest. Don't be afraid of anything. Don't be afraid. And he was about to take off the tefillin, everything stopped. He died right then, sitting in talis and tefillin. He died. And the nurses said it's over. It was boom, right when he finished those words, "I'll take you." And he just died, mamish, that second. The son started to holler, "A miracle! I just saw a miracle! I just saw a miracle! I just saw a miracle! What happened?" The father even spoke and said the Shema and just died like this. That was it. Told me he came home like 10 seconds before Shkia. He ran out of the house and that was it. This was mamish. The Yid put on tefillin once in his life and he died in talis and tefillin. Yeah. So he came to Olam Haba, wasn't ready, not karkafted lemanach tefillin, it's a whole different category. All the litzonas that people made from Lubavitch, from the Rebbe, from Mitzvah Tefillin, yeah? It's like two universes. There's groups who make fun, and then there's neshamas every day that get healed. It's like mamish, it's a pity, like isolated people who are clueless. All they know is to make fun of people who are not doing what, are not following them. That's the best they can do in life, in order to keep themselves inspired. How do you keep yourself inspired? If you can make fun of another group so you could feel holier in this. And then there is the people who actually in the field doing the work. It's a whole different mitzvah. I just heard this from him on Thursday. So, I also once had a Maisa, an interesting story. There's a Yid, by the way, who comes into the shiurim very often. I was learning in Boston once in a yeshiva, and it was like Boima. I was outside in a park, and I saw a Jew jogging. And he looked Jewish. I asked him if he wants to put on tefillin. And he did. He put on tefillin. Why did he put on tefillin? A week or two before that, his grandmother died, and he went through the chveitzim and he found old tefillin from his grandfather. He didn't know what it is, but he saw it, and now he saw tefillin, so he was agreed to put it on because of the association. Put on tefillin, and he got very, very emotional. He never did it in his life, literally. A Jew from Boston. And he said, I just saw this from my grandfather. So I said, give it into fix. We'll give it into fix. Recheck, and start putting on tefillin. And it was because of his grandfather, and his grandmother just died. He started to put on tefillin. Today he's a Shomer Torah mitzvahs. He lives in Monsey. Sits and learns. He has a family, also from the one-time tefillin. So das is very the Alal Tzonis.
Complimented his rollerblades.
What? Yeah, that I
His
don't
wife
remember.
told me that you said, cool rollerblades. Nice,
That I
nice
don't remember.
rollerblades.
That was probably Lehikanas in my B'dvarim. I don't remember that.
The Monsey wasn't in a...
Oh, yeah.
It wasn't in an attacking way.
Yeah.
It was not very...
Another interesting thing that once happened. I once got a letter from a rabbi in Sydney, an email. It was before Shabbos. He wrote an article, and about Eretz Yisrael something. It was 60 years or something, I don't remember. And he asked me if I could review it. So I reviewed the article. I didn't like it so much. So I wrote back to him that you've been too many years in your shul in Sydney, and you got too much covered over there, because I see your hashkafas this. And you have to go remember how you were as a yeshiva. We were classmates. We were close friends. So I said, it's kedai to remember, today he has a huge shul. And he sits on top of the shul, like a melech malchei amlachim. The rabbis in the big shuls, you sit on a big throne on top over there. It's the whole thing. I said, it's kedai mizman lizman to remember how you used to push by the Rebbe's Fabrengens. He had a place and he was very pushed. I knew where he stood. He was pushed mamash like a sardine. I said, it's kedai sometimes to remember, for a little humility, to remember those days. You weren't such a this. Stop. As a friend, I wrote this to him. I said it before Shabbos, because that's when, in Sydney, of course, it's already 13, 14 hours later. After Shabbos, or Sunday morning, I was looking at my email. I get a letter from him. He says that Friday night he had a dream. His dream was that he was by a Fabrengen of the Lubavitcher Rebbe, pushing terribly. Pushing. He woke up, and it was like very vivid. The Rebbe was talking. He was very vivid. He never had such a dream. So he saw this. He decided Sunday he's going to do something he didn't do. He's going to go on Miftzah. He's going to go to hospitals, things that big rabbis don't do. He's going to go visit Eden. So he went. He went Sunday. This is what he's writing to me. He said that he was already finished. He was visiting people, just saying hi to them. And he was by the end of the hallway where the elevators are in the hospital. And he walks by a room, and there's like one last room. So he nods. Whoever that is, hi. He saw that it was an older man. He looked Jewish, so he walks in. It was right before he was leaving. So the man looks at him, a very old man in the hospital bed, very sick. He says, you're one of Schneerson's boys? Those were the words. You're one of Schneerson. The Rabbi Shabbat's name was Schneerson. You're one of Schneerson's boys? Rabbi Schneerson's boys? He says, yeah. He says, oh, he was a good man. He says, what do you have with him? So he says that in the 50s, he was studying in Harvard University. And he had a lot of questions on Yiddishkeit. He didn't have who to ask. He would ask people. Because he had a good education. So the rabbis he spoke to didn't understand his questions because they didn't have an education. So a few people told him that in New York there's a rabbi who knows very well science and physics and math and astronomy and cosmology. And you could speak to him about questions in Judaism because he's very open-minded. He's very, very educated and he understands the world very well and you could get answers there. So he says he was a student. He traveled from Boston, from Harvard to New York, and he made an appointment by the Rabbi. This is in 1959. Made an appointment. He got an appointment, he said, around 1 o'clock in the morning. And he was a proper kid. He was an Australian kid. He was proper. Now, the appointments always ran late. They could run an hour late, 2 hours, because people would stay longer, you never knew. You had to wait. So his appointment was 2 hours late. Like instead of 1, 3. So he was furious. He decided that when he walks in, he's going to give the Rebbe a piece of his mind and tell him, who do you think you are? Abusing people like this, manipulating. What am I? Nothing. I'm a Harvard student. Harvard students generally could be very arrogant and pompous because it's a great university. Who do you think you are? And he was about to unload it on him, to disrespect people so much. So he's telling this to the rabbi, writes to me. He walks into the room and he saw the Rebbe's face and he realized that he's a very, very edel person. So he said his anger just melted, like he didn't feel he was busy manipulating and controlling. He saw a lot of refinement, a lot of love. He said all his anger, he just felt there's no room for anger here. There's nobody to be angry at. He sat down, and he started to speak about all of his questions, and the Rebbe listened and asked him about his background and his life. And he said the way he listened, it was incredibly meaningful. He just listened, just without saying anything, listening and listening. And then he started to ask all of his questions on Judaism, good questions. And when he finishes, the Rebbe says, do you have any hobbies? Any hobbies? You know what a hobby is? He didn't expect. He says, yeah, I love swimming. Whenever I have a chance, I swim. The Rebbe says, do you know about swimming? Do you know about the ideas of swimming? He says, yeah, I'm an expert swimmer. I know everything. The Rebbe says, did you ever read books about swimming? He says, yeah. I know a lot of books on swimming. I know exactly the art of swimming. I'm an expert. The Rebbe says, I now have a question. What would you say to somebody who's very into swimming? So he buys every book there is on swimming. What swimming is, how to swim, how to maneuver, how to breathe. How to breathe. Exactly. Speed, the body movements, posture, everything. But he never ever went into the water. He never went into the water. What do you say about this? He says, it's not going to work. It's meaningless. He says, why? He knows everything. He says, you need to feel the water. You have to be in the water. When you read the books and you're in the water, then you can have an experience. So the Rebbe says, that's you. That's you. You're asking all these questions on Judaism. You're reading. He says, you never went into the water. You have to know what Judaism is. You have to know what it is. He says, just like in your life, you're reading, you have to feel the water. You have to feel the water. You never felt the water. Feel the water and then the books will come to life. So he was quite shocked. He says, what do you want me to do? He says, buy a pair of tefillin. Start putting on tefillin every day. Start feeling the water. You have to start living like a Jew. Then you'll be able to understand things. Now you can't understand anything. It's all theories. You need to feel the life. And he says, that's my suggestion to you. This is 1959. He says, I left the room. I was very, very moved. I thanked him very much. And I went home. I went back to Harvard. I graduated law school. Ultimately went to Sydney. Here I am, an old man in the hospital, 50 years later. That was it. So my friend, his name is Rabbi Wolf, writes me this whole Maisa with my answer to him Friday that he should remember and his dream. So he went Sunday because he wanted to do the right thing. He wanted to feel like a chassid again, and this story. So I wrote back to him. This I got, I think, Sunday night. It was by him Sunday. So I got it Sunday morning. He wrote it Sunday night to me. I wrote to him, Levi, you missed the boat again. You missed the boat again. You don't understand. Did this Yid buy tefillin? He says, no, he never did. He just respected what the Rebbe said, but that was it. So I said, it's obvious that this is the whole Maaseh. He needs to put on tefillin. So you have to right away go bring him tefillin immediately. It's very important. You're missing the whole nekuda why this whole story happened. Why you sent me the article and I wrote you what I wrote to you and this whole Maaseh. It's all for this. So he did it right away. He sent this Yid a pair of tefillin. He put on tefillin the first time ever. The first time ever he put on tefillin. He was very sick. I don't know what happened after. I didn't hear the continuation of the story. He was an old man.
He held his hands, don't worry.
So I wrote to Levi that the Rebbe told him this in 1959. 69, 79, 89, 99, 09. 50 years pass. The Yid never did. He went back. He had good feelings. He says he's a nice man, but that's it. But before he passed away, he was a kakafted leimanach tefillin. So he made this whole maisa that you should go and put on tefillin on this Yid. And kachava. And the Yid put on tefillin.
What's a bigger Indian?
The Herst Isaac was tutzich. The kachava, 50 years later. 50 years later.
What's the beginning? To go on the streets?
I'm explaining to you what a Rebbe is. Verstehst du, was a Rebbe is? How he looks at Neshamas Yisrael. It's a different mahalach, huh?
What is the beginning? To go on the streets to put on film or in nursing homes?
Ich weiß
No,
nicht.
for real. I'm asking. I want to take my children. I want to go stuff on.
Both. I just told a story about you. I just told a story about you, yeah?
That's all right.
Boston, yeah. You have two Yidden here, are both Shem the Torah mitzvah with their children because somebody asked them to put on tefillah. Both of these
And
Yidden.
grandchildren.
And grandchildren. Both of these Yidden. Okay, let's continue.
This class is brought to you by theyeshiva.net. Please help us continue the classes. Make even a small contribution at www.theyeshiva.net/donate.